damay hindi maganda. Sabihin sa magulang at sa bahay muna. Sa kalye, bidagin! Best friend natin ang mask, suotin kahit saan. Ingatan ang kamay, maghugas pag galing sa labas. Sa school, bidagin! Sa pila, wag dikit-dikit. Dumistansya para iwas sakit. Laging open ang window para maganda ang airflow. 3Ps, tandaan, bakuna, bayanihan, bidagin. Halina at magtulungan. Ikaw at ako
So isa pong mapayapang hapon, no? At magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Ako po ang inyong lingkod na si Lily mula sa opisina ng Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Service sa ilalim ng pamumuno ni Director Ronil Daco. No? Welcome sa ating orientation on the conduct and facilitation of psychosocial support activities for learners para sa pisikal na pagbabalik eskwela. Ito ay bilang parte ng iba't ibang mga programa ng departamento para makasiguro natin ang kaigihan ng mental health at psychosocial support para sa ating mga mag-aaral. So good morning po sa good afternoon na po pala sa ating lahat. Maraming salamat sa lahat na tumututok sa atin ngayon sa live stream sa DepEd. Huwag po natin kalimutan na i-like, i-share, imbitahin po natin lahat ng ating mga kaibigan na manood ngayong hapon. Bago tayo magsimula, ating i-welcome po muna ang ating butihing Undersecretary mula sa Office of the Undersecretary for Administration upang bigyan tayo ng mensahe at gabay para sa ating tungkuling gagampanan sa pisikal na pagbabalik eskwela. So sa ating mga manonood ngayon, bigyan natin ng virtual round of applause ang ating Undersecretary for Administration na si Ginoong Elaine Del B. Pascua.
Isang magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Una sa lahat, maraming salamat sa inyo. Not just for being here today, but for always working hard to ensure that our learners' well-being is prioritized amid all the challenges, unexpected changes, and growth. Our experience of the COVID-19 pandemic has been the hardest so far, and possibly the most challenging, but ultimately, it is also the most enlightening. It has put all our daily routines to a halt and forced us into new and innovative practices. Walang nag-aakala 3 years ago na ang ating mga silid-aralan ay mababakante at hindi magagamit ng halos 2 taon, na ang pasok sa ating mga paaralan ay matitigil at mapapalitan ng blended learning modalities. No one would have imagined that hand sanitizers and face masks would be just as much as valuable commodity as bottled water. There were more drastic changes introduced to us in the past 3 years than there were in a decade. However, if there is one thing that never changed, that was never put to halt, it is education. Amidst the pandemic, even during the cancellation of classes, education never stopped. Outside our classrooms, students and teachers continued the teaching and learning process, making use of the most available resources in the most accessible modalities. We all needed to adjust and cope up with the ever-changing scenarios brought about by the pandemic. But all our stress and difficulties were never only ours. They were difficulties shared by our learners and by extension by everyone else too. But it was the cooperation and mutual support between teachers and learners, the showing of understanding and empathy towards each other, that is the burden of transition from physical to blended learning. More than anyone else, we understood our learners' situations the best. Our hardships and all the challenges are indescribable for us implementers, teachers, and parents. But these experiences are foundational for most of our learners, the youth and the children. It will ultimately shape how they will be in the future, how they will understand and cope up with struggles, hardships, and the change, when act with caring, kindness, and empathy. All of these are based on how we help shape their experiences as part of their foundation and growth. Ngayon ay pumapasok ulit tayo sa mga panibagong kabanata sa paghubog sa ating mga kabataan. After all the months of coping and adapting, to the limitations and challenges of the pandemic, nagsisimula na tayong bumalik sa mga paaralan para sa face-to-face classes. Naunawaan natin na ito ay magdadala ng mga panibagong pagsubok kasabay ng ating paggabay sa kanilang transition at adjustment sa pagbabalik sa kanilang mga paaralan. As we conduct the DepEd Psychosocial support activities to prioritize our learners' well-being in preparation for the upcoming face-to-face classes, I would like to call on everyone to become even more open and to show more empathy to our students. As teachers and personnel of DepEd, we are not only employees or educators, we are catalysts for social change. We are their second home, and we cannot serve this duty wholeheartedly if we compromise the understanding of our students' situations and necessities. Let these new experiences of our learners fall into nurturing hands so that we can provide them with the kind of support they may not even know they need. The kind of support apart from the academic lessons they receive in their classes. May this activity provide you with the tools to be ready to plant the seeds of change in our learners or in the learners you encounter, so that in the future, you can make 1,000 different flowers bloom through their success. Ultimately, you, our teachers, and our personnel make it possible for every learner out there to have a better future. Mabuhay po kayong lahat. Maraming salamat.
Wow, no, that was so inspiring. Maraming salamat, no, kay Undersecretary Elaine B. Pascua para sa napakagandang mensahe ngayong hapon. Tunay nga, no, nasa kabila ng lahat-lahat, laging-lagi para sa bata at para sa bayan. Ngayon, no, bakit nga ba natin kailangan gawin ang orientation na ito? Gaya ng nabanggit ng ating butihing undersecretary, higit na ano pa man, no, ito ay para sa kasiguraduhan ng maiging kalusugang pangkaisipan ng ating mga mag-aaral. Lalong-lalo na't inaalala natin ang mga dulot o epekto ng pandemya sa kanila. So allow me to share the objectives, no, of this orientation this afternoon. Our objective, no, is for the teaching personnel to learn how to conduct psychosocial support activities for learners in line with the return to face-to-face learning modality. So as we welcome them back, no, maghahanda rin po tayo ng ating mga psychosocial support activities. Tandaan po natin, no, let's see the next slide, that the psychosocial support activities for grades 4 to 10 will be patterned after the developed psychosocial activity pack for kinder, grades 1 to 3, and senior high school. So marami po sigurong nanonood ngayon, no, ng mga guro ng ating grades 4 to 10 learners. Tuturuan po namin kayo paano gumawa ng sarili ninyong psychosocial support activity, no, na syempre pattern din po sa PSAP or Psychosocial Activity Pack na ginawa po natin para sa kinder, grades 1 to 3, and senior high school. Therefore, no, at the end of this session, all the participants are expected to be able to create their own psychosocial support activity considering, unang-una, the holistic well-being of our learners, pangalawa, the 7 psychosocial support concepts, at pangatlo, the healing and learning components of arts and play. Ayan. Sige, bago po tayo mag-proceed, no, I would like to invite all our participants to download the Psychosocial Support Activity Pack. Bakit po? Ito po ang gagamitin nating reference ngayong hapon. Our discussion, the order of our discussion, no, is based on the sequence of the content in the Psychosocial Support Activity Pack. So kung nakikita nyo po yung link, puntahan nyo lang po yung link, no, and download the Psychosocial Support Activity Pack. Okay? So ayan po, I will leave this on screen for a while for all of our participants to see, no, and to be able to download the PSAP or the Psychosocial Support Activity Pack. Maliban po dito sa PSAP, ang kailangan din po natin, no, mga art materials this afternoon dahil meron po tayong demonstration. So, nais po namin sumama kayo or makilahok kayo dito sa demonstration. Bring out your art materials and any writing material, mga papel, scratch paper, kung ano pong nahanap nyo dyan sa opisina o sa eskwelahan. Ayan, okay. So, proceed po tayo. Ngayong hapon, no, iniimbitahan natin ang mga eksperto sa larangan ng psikolohiya at psikososyal upang bigyan tayo ng malinaw na pag-iintindi kung paano ba natin magagawa ang mga psychosocial support activities. So this afternoon, here is the outline of topics. We have 6 discussion points today. We will begin with the introduction of psychosocial support and expressive arts, no, para po contextualize ang pagbubuo natin ng mga activities. Pangalawa po, we will highlight the 7 psychosocial support concepts that are key in the adjustment of our learners back to face-to-face learning modality. Third, of course, ito po ang pinaka-exciting, no, yung demonstration of the psychosocial support activity where you, our viewers, will also participate in. Fourth, we will discuss yung tinatawag nating smart play table. At panglima, we have the open forum, no, where you will have the chance to raise your questions to our experts, no. And sixth, we will have the closing remarks and the reminders for the certificates. Syempre, lahat po nanonood ngayon ay may certificate, no, pero tandaan po natin, no, na sa dulo pa po ng ating orientation, ibibigay ang instructions for the certificates. So, ngayon, no, tayo na magsimula, ating bigyan ng warm welcome ang una-una nating speaker for today, si Ms. Mariel, no, isa pong psychologist mula sa Magis Creative Spaces. Ang Magis Creative Spaces po ay isang center for healing and learning through expressive arts. Si Ms. Mariel ay may malalim na karanasan sa psychological first aid training and psychosocial interventions. Ngayon, no, tatalakayin niya ang mental health and psychosocial support, well-being, at ang konsepto ng psychological first aid. Take it away, Ms. Mariel.
Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Today, our presentation will focus on psychosocial support, an overview of that and how it differs from psychological first aid. But I would also like to introduce a few terms and concepts just so we can understand this better. All right, so let's get to it. Okay, so we have to start with well-being. Okay, and this can be defined simply as a state of health, happiness, and prosperity. This is about how we feel about ourselves and our current situation right now. So this is related to quality of life, okay, and how we see ourselves in our current state. Okay, and because it involves our experiences and how we respond to those experiences, that basically means we have some control over our own well-being. Okay. All right. And for the next slide, gusto ko lang pong ibahagi sa inyo the well-being flower. Okay, so there are so many images out there. So I decided to go with this one, and I wanted to share this for 2 reasons. First, being that well-being is a very broad concept. Okay, and it involves different types of well-being, as shown here. Okay, they are all related and connected with each other. They are all important, and one is not better than the other. We all need this in order to thrive. Okay, and really feel good about ourselves. Okay. The second point is that when we design our psychosocial support interventions, programs, and activities, we can consider the different types of well-being in the design and planning of these things. Okay. Because when it comes to disasters, crises on an individual or much wider level, such as this pandemic, it makes sense that medyo kulang po yung levels of well-being po natin. Right? We're missing a few things, or some things are just not enough. Okay? So let's take a look at these types, and as we go through each part, we can also look at this in the context of our own experiences living with the pandemic. Okay. Now the first one is biological well-being. Basically means our physical needs. Okay. So during this time, did you have enough of this, enough food, enough water? Was there a shortage of this? One intervention was yung pagdidistribute ng ayuda. Were you able to get that? Right. Other responses when the lockdown started is that people started panic buying, right, for these resources. Okay, so think about it. Were you able to provide for your family? Did you have enough of this? Yeah. Okay, so the next one, that would be material well-being. Very similar to biological well-being, right? So it's having that shelter, having the clothing to protect ourselves. It's having the proper structures in the community. Okay. During the pandemic, there was a shortage, right, of hospital rooms, okay, hospital beds, respirators, new hospitals had to be built, quarantine facilities had to be built as well, right? And when you were in need of that, did you have access to this? Okay. And when that wasn't available to you, what was an alternative? Right? Or how did you manage having a lack of this? Okay. Next one is social well-being. It's just having that sense of connection, being in relation with others. During the pandemic, it must have been very difficult for some of us, especially those of us who liked going outside. You suddenly had to stay at home, bawal lumabas, right? So how did we deal with that? How did we manage to stay connected with our family, with our friends? Some of us who were living apart from the family, naka-isolate yung iba, and that must have been very difficult, right? What was done in spite of that? How are you able to maintain your connections, keep in touch with each other? How are you still able to participate in your own social groups? Right? So I think marami na po tayong mga GC, so Viber, Messenger, and any other social media apps. Right? And most of all, when it comes to, especially the children, our students, right? How did we give them that sense of connection, that sense of relationship, that sense of belonging in the midst of this pandemic? Right? They were away from their classmates. That must have been so difficult. What were the things we did for them? Yeah? Okay. Next one is spiritual well-being. It's having that sense, having that connection to our own spirituality, and having the opportunity to practice our own religious beliefs and traditions. And in the midst, again, of this pandemic, how were we able to do that? Mass gatherings weren't allowed. Again, we had to stay at home. So how were we able to get in touch with that, with our religion or spirituality? Okay, another challenge is finding sense of purpose, because maybe for some of us, we may have lost that sense of purpose and meaning in the past 2.5 years. Right? So what were the things we did to restore or to rediscover that? Okay, because that's important too. Okay, and as we move on to cultural well-being, it's quite similar, right? Quite similar to our spiritual well-being, as it involves tradition and practices. One thing I noticed over the pandemic is this experience of, prolonged grief. So we've had to experience that kind of loss. And when it came to Filipino tradition, right, we would have rituals, right, before the funeral. So we'd have the wake, right, and we would celebrate the life of our lost loved one. Yeah. But because of the circumstances now, we're not really able to practice that. Yeah. And that must have been really difficult for some of us. Right. So in spite of having to stay at home and take note of all the safety protocols, how are we still able to keep in touch, right, with our cultural identity as Filipinos? Okay, then we move on to our mental well-being. This became a very big thing, again, because of the pandemic. Right? As soon as the lockdown hit, the first one, how are we able to adjust, right, and to adapt to these sudden changes? Right? When schools had to stop, students couldn't be there anymore, and we all had to switch, right, to online teaching. How did you manage that? How did you manage that stress? Right? And how did our students, can you imagine, how did our children adapt to this? Right? And then, fast forward to today, where another change is happening. We're going back to face-to-face classes. That's another, period of change and adjustment for the teachers and the students as well. Right? So what kind of support can we give? Right? Not only to our teachers, but especially to the students, right, as we adjust again. Yeah, that's something to consider. Okay, so when it comes to education, so going back here, education, knowledge, and skills, were we given? Did we have access to the right and appropriate information regarding COVID-19? Right? Was that readily available for us? Right, and by skills, we can refer to stress management. How are we able to regulate ourselves in such a stressful period of time? Right? And how are we able to support others while doing this? And the last one, similar to mental well-being, is our emotional well-being. So during this whole time, again, how are we able to regulate our own emotions? Okay, were we given the knowledge and skills to recognize what we're going through, and also, again, to support like our family members and our friends who are struggling? Did we allow ourselves the space and time to feel this whole range of emotions? Okay, yeah, from fear, anger, frustration, all the uncomfortable feelings, up to even the more positive ones, right? Like love, self-esteem, empathy, compassion for self and others? Right? Were we able to also make space for the good feelings? Yeah, just some things to think about, right? And again, as we look at this whole well-being flower, we can also consider our students, right, and what they must be uh, going through, right, this whole time. Okay, so I do have a question. I'm really curious right now. Looking at the 7 of these, which type do you have enough of? Like, which is, which one is okay for you right now? Yeah. And on the opposite side of that, which type of well-being do you need to nurture more? What do you need more of at this time? Okay, so you can take a moment, and if you want, you may share this in the comment section. Just to see where you're at and to see also the others participating as well. So if you noticed outside uh, the well-being flower are 3 more concepts. Okay, and these are requirements. Okay, things that we need, the things that our students need in order to thrive, in order to access the other types of well-being. Okay, by participation, yes, it means personal agency. How involved in the healing are we allowing our students and others to be at? Wow, does that sound right? Okay, basically it's the transfer of skills. Okay, because we don't want the people that we're helping to be dependent on us all the time, forever and ever. Okay, we want to make sure that we pass on skills so that they'd feel confident enough that they can do something for themselves, right? And it is as simple as teaching our children, okay, our students, how to regulate their emotions. Okay, sure, they need our help first, but then with practice, it's something they can do on their own. Okay, when it comes to development, are we giving the space and time for our students to experience the change? Okay, to learn, to adapt. Just give them that time and space, to adjust. Okay, to actually go through that development. We don't need to rush them. Okay, so it's sometimes it means that we have to slow down or meet them where they are at whatever level they're at right now. Are we able to meet them where they need us to be? Okay, and the last one, I could be biased, but I find this very, very important, is that sense of safety. Okay, security from fear and harm. Okay, because really, without that sense of safety, other types of well-being won't really follow. Okay, sa utak po natin, there's one part that's focused on danger. Okay, it's always looking out for danger. Am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? Okay, so as soon as the child feels unsafe, that part of the brain will just keep going. Okay, and when that part of the brain keeps going and keeps saying, you're not safe, you need to protect yourself, the child will go into survival mode. Okay, and as we know, when we are in survival mode, we don't really think about other things. Okay, problem solving shuts down. Okay, looking for social connections, that also shuts down. Okay, we are on survival mode. Okay, so as soon as we are able to establish safety, okay, for our students, there's a good chance that the other types of well-being will follow. Okay, and what do I mean by safety? This can mean physical safety, right? So this is how you design your classrooms, right, to make them feel safe, to make it look nice and inviting and fun, right? And it can also mean how we present ourselves to our students, right? From the tone of voice right? To facial expressions, to body language. You know, we can ask ourselves, can I be that safe person for my student? Or am I giving off this image of fear and harm for them? Okay, so something to think about. So again, just to note, in emergency situations, whatever that may be on an individual or larger scale, the presence of a stable adult caregiver can aid children's feelings of well-being. Okay, just having that support already make them feel a bit more supported. Okay, the risk here or the concern here is that caregivers are also affected by the emergencies. Okay. And because we are affected by those emergencies, our ability to be that safe, stable, and nurturing individual might not be there. Okay. So there's no shame in that. It happens. Okay. So that is why when we think of interventions, okay, psychosocial interventions, we also want to include caregivers. Okay. By caregivers, that includes the family, and it also includes you guys, the adults who will be interacting with the children. Okay. We want to support you guys so that you, in turn, will be able to support children, okay, and provide them with a sense of that safety, stability, and normalcy that they so very much need. Okay. So there you go. We finally we finally reached the slide, psychosocial support. Okay. So yes, when we look at it, that's basically it. These are the actions, activities, and interventions that meet psychological and social needs of individuals, families, communities. Okay, we think of well-being. We consider well-being in here as well. Okay. Psychosocial support comes in during times of crisis. Okay, to prevent normal distress from becoming something much more severe. Okay, so we'd like to remind everyone here that how we have been reacting, okay, to the ongoing crisis that is the pandemic, it is absolutely normal. Okay, no matter how weird our stress responses are, it is absolutely normal. Okay. Now, again, the role of psychosocial support is just to make sure we are in stress, that we are able to regulate that and keep that from, prolonging and eventually becoming something much more severe. Okay. So there you go. There's another goal of psychosocial support. We want to reduce the risk of vulnerability while strengthening protective factors. So again, it is providing that sense of safety, sense of support, not just for us, but also for the children. Okay. Here's a list of some psychosocial support activities. As we look through them, you may have experienced some of them already, or maybe a few, or maybe not yet. No, actually, maybe you have. Okay, because the first one, psychoeducation and awareness raising, it's something like this right now. Okay. Next would be, again, skill building, life and vocational skills. Second, recreational and creative activities, right? So this is going to be related to what we'll be doing later today. Okay, tapping into that creativity and using it in ways that can also heal. Okay, not just express, but also heal, right? We also have sports, physical activities, getting movement in our system, restoring family links. This is more related to displaced families like refugees, right? Or yeah, people who have been separated, maybe during a disaster. Okay. Creating child-friendly spaces, right? Because children need that space to play and to just be, right? To just be themselves. Okay. Having community committees. So again, it's having the community involved, having that participation. Okay. It's giving that sense of agency. Okay. Supporting cultural and traditional rituals. See that? See how these are aligning with the different types of well-being that we discussed earlier. Okay. again, having support and self-help groups. Okay, so it's in a way the transfer of skills. Okay, because when we are able to support, ourselves, we find, we're able to find ways to do it for others as well. Okay, and the last one here is psychological first aid. And there's a lot more. So this is just a short list. Okay, but I would like to focus a little bit more on psychological first aid. Okay, because sometimes psychosocial support used interchangeably with psychological first aid, but there's actually a difference there. Okay, and the first difference is that psychological first aid is under psychosocial support. So psychological first aid, or PFA, is a type of psychosocial support. So maybe some of us are familiar with PFA. Okay, so holla, yeah, in the comment section if you have, if you know about this or if you've had training. Okay, it's another good skill to have. Okay, to define it, psychological first aid, or PFA, it's really what it is here: humane, supportive, and practical help for those who have experienced an extremely distressing event. So again, PFA comes in during times of crisis and distress. Okay. And let's go to the next. There you go. So here's what PFA is. So yes, the comfort is there, the emotional support is there. Okay. When we do this, when we conduct PFA, again, it goes back to that sense of safety. Okay. As soon as we establish that sense of safety, it's much easier to calm down. Okay. It also means assessing needs and concerns, what the person needs at the moment. Okay. Protecting people from further harm. Again, it's going back to safety, right? Are we in a is the physical space right now? Like, are we safe? Or do we need to move or evacuate somewhere else? Right? Providing emotional support, helping to provide immediate basic needs. You'll tend to see this. You'll tend to see this PFA happening, okay, in evacuation centers. Okay, so try to think of that setting. Okay, so again, it's about supporting and listening, but we don't pressure these people to talk. Okay, only when they want to. Okay, and lastly, it's helping obtain information that is needed, like, who can I contact if I need more food or more medical assistance. Okay, it's that kind of thing. Okay, the nice thing about PFA is that anyone can do it. You just need the right training. Okay, you don't have to be a professional to do it. You don't have to be a mental health um, person. You just need the right training, and then you will be able to conduct this. Okay, so real quick, PFA is not, again, something only professionals do. Okay, PFA is not professional counseling or therapy. Okay, that's too complex. Okay, PFA is not encouraging a detailed discussion of the event. You don't have to go through each point of what happened, like during the crisis or during a disaster. Okay, PFA is not analyzing what happened. Okay, and again, it is not pressuring other people to share their feelings and reactions, only if they want to. Okay, so it's really having that presence and empathy and just being there for the person, not looking at them as if they're kawawa and that they're helpless, but really just being human while they're going through that suffering. Okay. Okay, so that's the kind of support BFA can provide. All right, so I hope that's somehow making sense. Okay, so maybe it was something you experienced before. Okay, so now I have a question for you guys. Okay, so in the past 2.5 years, you may share this in the comment section. How have you been helped or supported during the pandemic? What was helpful? What really helped for you? Yeah, and if you would also like to share this, the second question, in turn, how have you supported others during the pandemic? Yeah, were you the ones who facilitated all the kamustahans, the video calls, the group chats? Were you the one checking in with others, right? Keeping in touch with family? Sending sending gifts, right? Online shopping, right? So yeah, just take a moment to think about it. And if you would like to share, please feel free and see how the others have been supporting others as well and how they've been supported. Something fun to know. Okay. And one last thing before I finish. Okay. Yes, your own well being is your responsibility. Okay. Simply because you deserve it. Okay. And that's how important you guys are. Okay. So let's go through this list. Okay. So definitely take care of your physical self. Eat well, get enough sleep, and get some movement in your system. Okay. And if you can, do something fun or meaningful, something you genuinely like for yourself. Okay. Whatever that may be. Okay. Speak up and reach out to others. Maybe you have people in mind who have been quiet in the GC or quiet in social media. It's okay to just reach out, check in, hey, how are you doing? Kamusta ka na? Kind of thing. Yeah. Minimize substance use. Okay. We might think that it's helping, right? Especially coffee, right? We might think it's really helpful, but it might not always be okay for us. So just minimize relying on that. Okay. Another thing I find helpful, okay, is about being honest. Okay. Be realistic about what you can and cannot control in your life and in your current circumstance. Knowing or being able to identify what you can control gives a sense of agency, right? Means that you can do something about it. And knowing what you cannot control, well, then, can be hard, but we can then start the process of letting go and just letting it be. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, what are some examples of something you cannot control? We cannot control the behaviors of others, right? So, if they want to go out without a mask or if they want to uh, go out and do things, that's up to them. We can feel really upset about it, but again, we can't always control other people, right? What we can control is how we protect ourselves, right? How do we stay clean and hygienic and healthy, right? What are the steps you can do to protect yourself and keep yourself safe, right? Simple as that. Okay. What else? Being able to identify your own signs of stress. Okay, just being able to acknowledge, like, wow, I think my heart is palpitating right now. I think I need to take a step back from my work, sort of breathe. Yeah. Pause. Maybe I need to drink water, right? 'Cause maybe that is what stress looks like for you. For others, maybe stress comes as, you know, stomach pain, right? It helps to keep track. It helps to monitor, what your body is telling you. Okay? Because if it says something, if you feel something, we have to listen. Okay? All right. Next, make time for relaxing activities. Again, uh, whatever it is that you're okay with, that makes you feel safe and good, go ahead and do that. It's okay to relax. Okay, don't feel guilty about not being productive. It's okay to relax, right? Practice gratitude, right? Identify the things that you're thankful for right now. Okay, maybe that's something you can put in the comment section as well. Something that you're thankful for, real quick. At least one thing. Okay, then this is something you can practice before you sleep, right? Or these can be your first thoughts as soon as you wake up. Okay. Um, Second to the last is, yes, please be kind and gentle with yourself. Okay. We need you. We need you. You're important. Okay. You certainly matter. Right. And it's okay to be kind and gentle. We can give ourselves permission to be kind and gentle with ourselves. Okay? Take note of how you talk to yourselves up in here. Okay? If it's getting a little bit harsh, we can kind of pause and say, okay, maybe I need more patience, more kindness with the self. Okay? And lastly, if we really feel that we are not functional or functioning as well as we should, it's okay to seek professional support when you need it. Okay, it's okay to get that checkup. Okay, because again, your well-being is important. Okay, and if we want our students to thrive, and if we want our students to manage, to adapt, and be okay with the changes that are about to come in the next few months, they will need us. They're gonna need us to also be okay. Right? So again, it's setting that example. Okay, it's setting that example of being balanced, okay, calm and connected, so that our students in turn can also model that. Okay. I hope that makes sense. All right. So there you go. Here's a list of the resources that I've looked at for this presentation. Okay. This will also be available in the handouts. There's so many resources out there and it's for free. Okay. Okay. So thank you very much for your time. I hope it makes sense. I hope there are some things that resonated with you, and uh, I hope we are. I hope this is the beginning, then, to make the right changes, to better improve or care for our well-being more, so that in turn, we can be of better service uh, for our students and our colleagues as well. Okay, thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Miss Mariel. No, right now we are actually at 19,600 viewers. Nako, damang-dama ko talaga ang pagmamahal ng ating mga teachers, no? Teachers who want to be mental health advocates, champions of mental health. Marami pong salamat sa inyo. Shout out lang po tayo sa mga schools na narito ngayon, no? Bukal Elementary School from the Division of Batangas Province, Buyo Elementary School from the Division of Masbate, Talakdan Elementary School mula sa District of Cauayan 1, San Isidro Elementary School mula sa Zamboanga del Norte, at marami pang iba, no? Buong Pilipinas po talaga tayo ngayong hapon. Galing po sa talk, no, ni Miss Mariel na bigyang konteksto ang pagsasagawa natin ng psychosocial support activities. Tatandaan po natin, di ba? Meron tayong main consideration. Yung nabanggit po niyang well-being flower, no, na may iba't ibang mga aspeto. May emotional, biological, material, social, spiritual, cultural, and of course, mental. No? Natutunan natin that the role of psychosocial support is to make sure, no, that when we are in distress, we are able to regulate that. Dahil din po kay Ms. Mariel, natutunan natin ang pagkakaiba ng psychosocial support sa psychological first aid or PFA. So, hindi po sila magkaparehas, no? At syempre, no, pinaka-nagustuhan ko talaga yung paalala sa atin ni Ms. Mariel to take care of ourselves as well. That we have to set the example, no, for being balanced, being calm, being connected, no, valuing our own well-being, no. You are responsible for your own well-being. Ngayon naman, no, paano nga ba natin ipapahayag ito sa ating mga learners? Napakalaking konsepto ng psychosocial support. No, paano natin siya ipapahayag sa ating mga learners? Lalong-lalo na yung mga bata pa talaga, mga kinder, no, hanggang grade 3. Kaya ngayon, no, susunod, tatalakayan natin ang konsepto ng expressive arts. I would like to welcome back Miss Mariel.
So now, we move on to an overview of the expressive arts, or EXA, EXA. The simplest way of looking at this is that art actually promotes self-expression. All these opportunities for self-expression come in many different forms, much more than the 5 listed in here. So you're going to probably see a list in the other slides. Okay. Now, the best thing about art is that they are all forms of play. All right, and we all know children love to play. And this is definitely a language that comes so naturally for them. And it opens them up to creativity, exploration, and definitely learning. Okay. And we also know that, right? Kids learn better through play. Okay. So with just a little bit of structure and planning, children are able to access all these benefits and much more when we, the teachers, facilitators, or adults, when we create the space where they can engage in art and actually just play. So when we are given the chance to express whatever it is that we're going through, everything else follows. Okay. We develop the skills, we learn to communicate better, we release the energy, and we even get a little bit more confident in ourselves. All right, so I'm going to go back to this later because I'm actually curious right now, and I'd like to know, what is your favorite art form and what benefits do you get from it? Or if you've observed, how have your students benefited from engaging in art or play? Yeah. So I'd like to invite you all to share just a little bit in the comment section, and let's see how similar or different your experiences are from that of others. Okay. All right. So while that's happening, I'd also like to share this quote. Okay. Every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once he grows up. Ouch. Yes. Okay. Pablo seems, kind of right. He makes a point there, doesn't he? Yeah. So what does this quote mean to you? My takeaway is that every child is an artist. Okay. Regardless of skill level, artistic ability, or developmental stage. With expressive arts, theory and technique, not so important. Even if expressive arts is done in the classroom, it doesn't have to be a contest, and there are definitely no grades. What's important is that we're able to express and create simply because it is human to express ourselves and to create beautiful things. So remember, we all have that creative energy within us, and no one can take that away from us as well, not even growing up. So let's give ourselves permission to express, create, and feed our souls so that we can be the compassionate adults our students need us to be. Okay, so in here, we have a diagram, and I know the text is quite small, but the idea here is that different art forms stimulate and activate different parts of the brain. Okay. Now, in the context of stress, trauma, living in crisis, when a person is stressed, okay, some parts of the brain actually shut down to gather up all the energy and resources needed for surviving. So some parts of the brain are activated, but it's only done so for survival mode. Okay. And that's a very normal thing. That's a normal stress response. Okay. The challenge there is when we stay in that stressed state for a prolonged period of time. Now that's stressful. Okay. So remember, parts of the brain already offline when we're stressed out. even more so when we are experiencing prolonged stress. And this is where art comes in, okay? Because then these different art forms are able to tap into the parts of the brain that are difficult to access or that are offline. Okay? It's able to stimulate that. And of course, we need to make sure that we are in a safe environment first. So we establish that safety, okay? And then we are able to access those other parts of the brain that may have been shut off due to that stress. And remember, art and play, that is a different yet natural language. These forms are able to access different parts of the brain that have difficulty being expressed through words. If that makes sense, sometimes we have difficulty wording out our feelings, but when it comes to art, it translates just fine and maybe even better. Okay, so that's the importance, okay, of this diagram. That's the importance, okay, of art and why it's so crucial to have it and to keep it in our lives and to share it with our students as well. Okay, that's where the healing starts. Right, and of course, here's just a quick summary for expressive arts in that it's used for different things. In our case, mainly it's for healing. Healing because we are able to express, we're able to express things that are otherwise difficult to word out or to say. Okay? Definitely there's learning that takes place. Okay? Again, we are able to develop skills and other concepts. All right. And of course, we do this for fun. Okay. And it's okay to do things for fun because we definitely need that in our lives. So this is basically quick overview of expressive arts and why we can utilize this as we use this as a form of psychosocial support, okay, and even adapt it in the classroom for your students.
Grabe, no? Ang galing! Expressive arts. Kanina, tinanong ni Miss Mariel, ano yung favorite form of art ninyo, no? At ito, gustong-gusto ko talaga yung sagot ni Miss Dayan de Guzman Kapulong. Sabi po ni Miss Dayan, I love writing children's stories. Now I am trying monochromatic painting. It helps me feel relaxed and probably escape for a moment. So thank you so much, Miss Dayan, for sharing your answer. Natutunan natin kay Miss Mariel, no, that art and play are the language of our children. It helps them in expressing themselves. Ang pinaka, no, tumatak talaga sa akin sa sinabi ni Miss Mariel kanina, it is human to express ourselves and to create beautiful things. Nako, ang ganda, no? It's very human. It's innate in us to create beautiful things. At tandaan natin, no? Expressive arts can be used for 3 things. Unang-una, for healing. Pangalawa, for learning. At pangatlo, for fun. So, ayun po, no, napakalalim ng diskusyon. Ngayon, dumako naman tayo sa pangalawang bahagi ng ating diskusyon, no? Handog ng ating speaker ngayong hapon ang talakayan tungkol sa 7 S's of psychosocial support. Let us welcome our speaker, Miss Maria Therese Jose, or Miss TJ, who is a counselor and spiritual director trained in Asian Theological Seminary, kung saan siya ay nag-masters sa pastoral counseling. Her expertise has been applied in psycho-spiritual support, communications, and learning management. Welcome, Ms. TJ.
Alright, maraming salamat Mariel. Ngayon, meron tayong overview na ng psychosocial support. Ngayon naman ay dadako tayo sa ating 7 S's of psychosocial support. So we're digging a little bit deeper this time. Okay, so ang 7 S's natin of psychosocial support ay siya ring 7 healing components sa ating expressive arts activities. So ang 7 po na ito ay safety, self-awareness, self-expression, self-compassion, self-regulation, self-esteem or self-confidence, at problem-solving. So ang 7 healing components po na ito ay nakadivide sa 3 categories. 3 kategorya natin na I am, I have, and I can. So kung mapapansin niyo po sa ating psychosocial support activity pack, ang activities natin ay naka-arrange according to these 3 categories. I am able to acknowledge and express my feelings. I have the resources to ask for support or help, regulate my emotions, and find solutions to challenges. At panghuli, I can do my best in school and imagine a bright future for myself. So ang logic po ng 3 categories na to ay para silang foundation. So, una muna kailangan natin mahanap at maintindihan para sa ating sarili na kaya natin na I am able to acknowledge. Sunod po dyan, kapag naintindihan na natin or naiparating natin sa ating learners na they are able to acknowledge their feelings and express them, gusto naman nating ipakita na meron silang resources, maaari silang humingi ng tulong kung kailangan, at maraming solusyon sa iba't ibang challenges na nakakaharap natin sa araw-araw. Yun po ang I have. Mula sa understanding na I am able to acknowledge at I have the resources, saka naman nabubuo yung I can. I can do my best in school and I can imagine a bright future for myself. So, ganun po yun. They build on each other. Okay. So, explain ko lang po saglit, pahapyawan ko lang po ang ating 7 S's. Again, kung gusto nyo po ng mas malalim pa na understanding, mas malalim na explanation, andyan po yan sa ating psychosocial support activity pack. Pwede po natin bisitahin yun. Alright. So, punta po tayo sa next slide. At tayo ay nagsisimula sa safety. So, ang safety, ito yung pinaka-foundation natin. If you will see, nasa I am category. Kumbaga, I am safe. Ligtas ako. So, yung safety po na ito ay nag-refer not just to physical safety, but also emotional or psychological safety. Ito yung pinaka-pundasyon natin so that our learners are able to reflect and are able to express. Sunod naman po ay ang self-awareness. So kapag nalaman na po nila or na-assure na po sila, pag na-assure na ang ating learners of their safety, saka sila magkakaroon ng ability to be self-aware. Saka nila mas ma-exercise ang ability to look within themselves. Ang self-awareness po ay tumutukoy sa ating kakayanan na magkaroon ng kaalaman kung anong nangyayari sa loob natin. At ito po yung foundation natin so that we can eventually move to self-expression, which is our last category, our last S for the I am category. So kung aware na po ang ating learners kung anong nararamdaman nila, maaari nila itong i-express. Maaring sa magulang, sa kanilang guro na kayo po yun. Kung ano man yun, maaari nilang i-express. So sa self-expression po, hindi lamang ito ang verbals, pero pati na rin ang non-verbals. Lalong-lalo na po sa mga mas batang mga learners natin, since medyo limited pa ang verbal ability, kailangan tayo bilang mga guro ay may sensitivity din sa non-verbals ng ating mga learners. I'm sure alam nyo na po yun. Alright, so ayan, self-expression. Sunod naman po ay self-regulation sa ating I have category. So I have the resources to ask for support or help, regulate my emotions, and find solutions to challenges. Ang self-regulation lamang po ay tumutukoy sa ating kakayanan na i-manage ang ating emotions, lalo na kung ito ay intense. So kung napansin po natin na tayo bilang guro ay nakakaramdam ng konting irita, konting init ng ulo na normal naman, ano kaya ang maaari natin gawin para hindi natin ito maipasa sa ating learners, no? Yun yung self-regulation. At kapag pinapractice po natin ito in the midst of our learners, they are also able to learn from us as we practice that. So ito po ay critical sa ating healthy daily functioning. Ang ibig sabihin lang po nun ay kung paano tayo mag-function sa araw-araw. Paano natin pinagdadaanan ang samot-saring hinaharap natin sa buhay. So yun po ang second S ng ating, first S ng ating I have. Ang ikalawa naman po ay ang problem solving. So ngayon po na na-regulate na natin ang sarili natin o kaya na-regulate na ng kanilang learner, ng mga learners ang kanilang sarili o sila ay mas may abilidad para mag-problem solve. Hindi ba't mas nakakapag-isip tayo ng mabuti kapag tayo ay nasa mas kalmado na estado, di ba? So, yung pag-problem solve po in the context of our psychosocial support activities ay maaaring ma-encounter sa simpleng ano kaya yung kulay na gagamitin ko? Green ba? Red ba? Or blue? Paano kung walang color pink? Ano kayang pwede kong gawin? Siguro pwede ako maghalo ng red at white. So yung mga simpleng bagay na yun, kapag nag-ipon-ipon, kapag madalas na naintindihan or na-experience at na-encounter ng learners na sila ay may kakayanan na mag-solve ng problems kahit maliit lang, mas nabibuild yung kanilang confidence. At pupunta naman po tayo sa self-esteem or self-confidence na under sa I can do my best in school and imagine a bright future for myself. So kapag habang tayo po ay nakaka-encounter ng experiences kung saan tayo ay nakakapag-problem solve and it goes well, nakaka-build po siya ng confidence, di ba po? Ganun din po sa ating learners. At mas nagkakaroon sila ng assurance sa sarili nila na kung ano yung haharapin, kaya nilang malagpasan yun. Kaya nilang magkaroon ng success even through that. Yung arts-based activities po natin, nakakatulong sila sa pag-reflect, pag-identify ng mga strengths nila, and that helps build self-confidence. So yun po. Next naman po, last, sa ating 7 S's ay ang self-compassion. I can practice self-compassion for myself. So, ang self-compassion lang po ay ang pagkakaroon ng empathy sa ating sarili. So, I'm sure na-experience nyo na po na may mga events sa ating buhay, maraming mga pangyayari sa ating buhay na hindi nangyayari yung gusto natin, hindi nangyayari yung pinlano natin. At madali na parang i-criticize ang ating sarili. Pero sa self-compassion po, we are able to extend empathy to ourselves, to extend understanding and acceptance to ourselves. Kapag po nakikita yon ng ating learners and we also model empathy to them, sila po ay nagkakaroon or nabibuild yung capacity nila for self-compassion. And that quality po of self-compassion helps them to be more resilient sa iba't ibang hinaharap nila sa buhay. Dahil when learners are self-compassionate, they are able to bounce back better from challenges, adversities, and difficult experiences. So ayun po ang ating 7 S's. I hope you are able po no, to maybe reflect on that in your own time. Kung ano nga po kaya ang sarili kong, ang dating ng 7 S's sa akin. Ano kaya sa sarili ko, yung mga tingin kong medyo kailangan ko pa. Maganda po i-practice natin yung self-awareness so that when we encounter or when we're there for our learners, aware po tayo sa ating tendencies, and we're fully able to be there for our learners. So yun po ang ating 7 S's. Yan. So maraming salamat po.
Yan. So, ayun nga po, no, ang 7 S's or 7 psychosocial support concepts. Ngayon, no, iniimbitahan ko lahat ng ating participants. I-type nyo nga sa comment section kung naalala nyo, ano ang ating 7 psychosocial support concepts. Ayan, no? So, habang itinatype nyo po ang inyong mga sagot, gusto ko lang pong i-acknowledge si Mr. Jonathan Balakinto, no? Ang ganda ng sinabi ni Sir Jonathan. Sabi niya dito, I think teachers' role is important in this kind of activity because students might not have these tasks at home. It is good to encourage teachers to do these tasks. So tama po, no? Baka later on in our question and answer, we can discuss further on how we can engage our parents, no? Ang ating mga caretakers sa pagsasagawa ng psychosocial support activities. So tandaan natin, no, na yung psychosocial support concepts, naka-divide ito sa tatlo, no, yung I am, I have, and I can. I am able to express and acknowledge my feelings. I have the capacity to regulate my emotions and find solutions to my challenges. And I can do my best in school, develop healthy relationships with my peers, and imagine a bright future for myself. So, ang galing, di ba? Base sa discussion ni Miss TJ, no? Hindi lamang pala basta-basta pagbibigay ng class activities o mga palaro ang psychosocial support, no? Ito ay mga pamamaraan natin, no? Upang talagang matulungan ang ating mga mag-aaral na maging komportable sa klase at sa silid-aralan kasama ng mga kanilang kaklase at mga guro. Siyempre, kasabay nito, no, ang pakiramdam ng ating mga learners tungkol sa kanilang eskwelahan, no? Kung ligtas ba ito, no? Mabubuti ba ang mga guro at mga kamag-aral? Malaya ba silang makaramdam ng kanilang mga nararamdaman? Naiintindihan ba sila? Pinapakinggan ba sila? So lahat yun, no? Parte ng psychosocial support. So ngayon, proceed na po tayo sa susunod na part, no, ng ating orientation. Excuse me. Ito na po ang pinakahihintay natin, no, ang demonstration ng psychosocial support activity. Lahat po ng ating participants, maghanap po kayo ng mga papel, mga art materials, no, any writing material will do. Use it, no, and join us in the demonstration na handog po ni Miss Rainy, Miss Mariel, and Miss TJ.
Thank you very much, TJ. For now, we are transitioning to the demonstration part wherein we share with you an actual psychosocial activity that you can do in the classroom. But before that, a few notes lang po and reminders on how to prepare yourself, the space, and even your students for the said activity. So a few considerations po before conducting the psychosocial support activities. Of course, we would always want to take into consideration the age and grade level of our learners, no? Angkop ba sa kanilang edad, angkop ba sa kanilang kakayahan at grade level. Siyempre po, kaugnay na niyan ang kanilang skills and abilities, ang kanila ng alam at kayang gawin mag-isa. Also, we can also take into consideration their interests. Ano nga ba ang kanilang kinahihiligan ngayon? And we might want to angle or focus on themes that are really resonate with them, no? And also related to that is their culture and their background. Of course, we'd always be want to be respectful of their culture, diba? I mean, keep sacred and important whatever they regard as sacred and important, and not be insensitive, no, to their beliefs and traditions. Apart from that is also the availability of materials. So you might find that you have a different set of materials that are available. Let's be resourceful po, teachers, no? So we can work with whatever materials are available, even materials from nature or recycled materials, diba? And it's also a way of us teaching our students to be resourceful as well, no? And the last consideration also that we want to remind you about is the time. So you may want to make variations to certain parts of the psychosocial activity. That's okay. So it all depends po on how much time you're willing to give, to carve out during your school day for this. It also depends on how regular you'd like to commit this. Although kami po, we would really want to encourage you to make this a regular thing. As you will see, it will be very helpful po for yourself and even for your students. All right. So before you jump into the activity itself, of course, lagi pong mahalaga ang paghahanda ng mismong espasyo, no? So we call this the preparing the physical space. So you'll see here an ideal setup of our art supplies table. Hindi naman ibig sabihin na ganito dapat ang setup sa bawat classroom niyo po, mga ma'am at sir. All we're pointing out here is that it's important to keep things in order. If possible, it would also be good to have labels for each of the things, because that will make the activity itself more inviting. Di ba? Kahit naman po tayo, bago tayo magsimula, ayaw naman natin na magulo ang ating paligid. So in the same way, as we invite our students to take part in art making and also the expressive arts, we'd want to set up an environment that is really conducive and encouraging of that, no? So it begins with order and cleanliness. So this is just one setup that we're proposing, but you can work around whatever is available and easiest for you. All right, this is the setup naman po of paints that are ideal. Again, if you find na hindi kayang ganito, it's completely okay. So this can be for your individual students. This can be the setup for sharing. But again, what we'd like to emphasize here is the order of things. No? So makikita nyo po magkakahana yung mga pintura. Meron rin sponge at paper towels. Pwede naman po tayong gumamit ng basahan o mga retaso. Scrap cloth po na available dyan, no? Pampunas ng pintura at ng paintbrush. Tapos yung mga paintbrush magkakasama lang din. Again, order is key, no? Para nga mainganyo ang ating mga students na sumali. Yan. These show naman po the different setup, seating arrangements that you can work around with in your classroom. So hindi naman kailangan laging tables and chairs lamang, no? We can choose to set aside the tables to make space, to make a big open space inside our classroom. You may also choose to do it outside or maybe in your multipurpose hall, sa school gym or auditorium, if you find that a much bigger space would be helpful, no? So these are different variations lang of how you might set up the space. So we invite you teachers po to think about the activities that you have in mind and ask yourselves, what would be the best setup? What setup would be encouraging, no, for our students to be free and express themselves and also really take delight po in the activities that we prepared for them. So these are just two. These are two other setups, no? So again, we're just showing these as ideas as recommendations, and you can play around with these, as you think of the activities that you have in mind already. All right. Apart po from the physical space, yung panlabas na kapaligiran, what's important also is we prepare po the emotional space. First, of ourselves as teachers or as facilitators of these activities. And next po, of our learners or our students, no? And why is this important? Because it allows the participants and even ourselves as teachers for the freedom to explore and assure them of confidentiality and safety. Because you'll see, as you'll see later on, we'll be encouraging sharing, no, in different forms. And that can only happen if your students are comfortable and they are assured that this is a safe space, no, that there'll be no judging, that there's no right or wrong, diba? And all that we're encouraging is what is true, diba? And that's when we get to know them. That's when we get to really determine where they're at, no? But before we can effectively do that, our recommendation is that you always check in on yourself also as teachers. Kasi di ba minsan po ibang araw, hindi naman natin minsan napapansin, pero kung ano yung kumbaga bigat, kung meron man bigat, no, o problema na hindi naman sa classroom, pero naidadala natin sa trabaho. At gusto rin naman nating maging totoo, pero hanggat maaari, we would like to share with our students, especially when we come into this space, a sense of calm, a sense of centeredness, no? And we'd also, as teachers, want to be ready to show compassion for them, no? To be there fully, completely and fully, and not to be there po as robots na parang, sige, gawin lang natin tong activity na to, no? Pero mahalagang nandun tayo ng buong-buo, handang makinig at handa rin na, kumbaga, samahan ang mga minamahal nating estudyante sa kanilang paglalakbay. So what are these simple things that help? One is establishing a routine. We'll talk more about that later, no? But it helps if there's a regular flow to your psychosocial support activities. Establish boundaries, no? It's good if there are guidelines at the beginning where we say, this we can do in this space, this definitely we cannot do, diba? We don't want to hurt others. We don't want to disrespect others. So to just be clear about those boundaries also helps establish that sense of safety. To have fun and be playful. So kayo rin po mga guro, no, we invite you also to really just be open to the process, to this process, even as you lead the activities in your classroom. Kasi mararamdaman yan ng mga estudyante natin, no? So we'd also want to show them that we do have the energy and we do have the gameness, diba, to be with them. So it's also best if we observe and are attuned to how our children feel, no? And once we get the hang of these psychosocial support activities, we'll find that some days what we planned for is not exactly what they need, no? So we'd like to get to a point where we can adjust and pivot and kind of really meet them where they're at. If their energy is low, maybe we can kind of adjust the activities a bit to help up the energy. So it's just very important that we are attuned to how our class is generally, no? And we would like to communicate in a way that affirms a creative process, to always be encouraging and be sincere also in saying that you can be true in this space. Ligtas kayo dito at hindi namin kayo huhusgahan. Walang tama o mali. Hindi namin kayo gigradean dito. Ang gusto lang namin muli ay maging totoo at bukas kayo, no? So with that, I think we are ready to already jump into the actual demonstration. Thank you very much. Ngayon po, narito na po tayo sa bahagi kung saan we will be sharing with all of you, no, how an actual psychosocial activity sample session might flow. So, some few notes lang before we begin this part. Una, the three of us facilitators, so myself, Mariel, and TJ, will act or assume the role as teachers. So, kunyari po, kami ay kayo bilang guro. We invite you naman po as participants to assume the role of students. So if you find that you are able to follow with the activity, that would be best po. No, we would like for you to really experience the activity for yourself, to gain a deeper appreciation for what it is that we would like to share with our students as well. Another thing to note, there'll be parts in the session where we will be requesting for responses from you. So we'll be saying that you can share it via the comment section in the FB page, right? But of course, pag nangyari na to sa classroom, these responses can be gathered from your students verbally, 'di ba? Kasi iba naman po talaga ang face-to-face. Lastly po, we will be sharing slides throughout the session, but it's only as a guide for you to see that we are at this part of the session, we are in this succeeding part of the session, but this is no pressure po on you as teachers to also prepare slides. So kayo pong bahala when you find that you will be doing these activities already in the classrooms. The slides really are not completely necessary. So it's your call na po if you will be using slides. That's it. So with that po, we will formally begin our demonstration of our psychosocial activity sample session. Now I turn you over to Marielle.
Hello and good day. As we begin today's session, I would like to ask everyone, how are we all doing? Kamusta na po kayo? When was the last time you really asked yourself, how am I doing today? Right now. So I would like to invite everyone to take this time to check in with ourselves. Now, I'm feeling curious. If you can represent your feelings with some type of weather, okay, what would that look like? What is your weather report as you check in with yourself? Please take the time to do that and feel free to comment with words and or emojis to represent how you're feeling. Okay, and while this is happening, you may also explore the comment section to see how everyone else is doing, just so we have an idea of how the whole group is feeling at this very moment. Okay, so go ahead, take your time, and thank you for inputting your weather report. All right, now we move on to the guidelines. So before we do the actual main activity, we would like to lay these down just so we know what to expect from ourselves and from each other. Okay. First and foremost, know that all art is good art. Go ahead, say it out loud without your microphones on. All art is good art. Okay. That basically means whatever you put out in this session, as long as it comes from you, that is all that matters. That is good enough. Okay. Remember, you don't need to be a good artist to make or enjoy art. Okay. Next is that we use whatever materials we have on hand, right? And when you're with your friends as we do this, feel free, go ahead. We encourage you to share your materials with others. Okay. All right. And in the sharing portion, when someone is speaking, we encourage everyone to listen not only with your ears, but also with your hearts. Okay, and this is related to the next line, that throughout the whole session, we treat each other with respect. We want to make sure that this is a safe space for everyone. So as we do this without judgment from ourselves and from others. Okay? So let's move on to the next activity. And this is, yes, our grounding exercise. Okay. Since we've been talking about the weather, we have something related as well. This is called cloud relaxation. As we do this, I'd like to invite you all, okay, to get comfy. Go ahead, wherever you're seated at. Go ahead, shift your weight. See if you need to move a bit forward or scoot back. Okay. If your chair has a backrest, you may lean back, whatever is comfortable for you. Okay. You tilt your head, roll your shoulders, go right ahead. As we do this activity, this will involve some type of breathing. Okay, I would like to remind everyone. We try to inhale with our nose, exhale through our mouths. And as we inhale, we fill up our bellies, okay, instead of the chest. So you may go ahead, take one hand, put it over your chest, and your other hand over your belly. And as you inhale, notice that your belly should be the one rising and not your chest. Okay. That's called belly breathing. All right. So, shall we begin? Okay. Now let us start with some breaths, and let's do this together, shall we? Now let's inhale. Then exhale. Inhale. Then exhale. Really empty out your lungs as you do this. Okay? And if you're comfortable to do so, you may close your eyes or just lower your gaze. You may look down as we do this. Okay? Let's do a couple more. Inhale. Then exhale. Inhale. Then exhale. As we do this, you may notice the sounds around you or even the thoughts in your mind. Okay, and that is okay. All right, so let's take a few more breaths. Inhale. Then exhale. And whatever sounds and thoughts come to mind, go ahead. Try to let them go. Let them pass by, just like some passing clouds. Yeah? And let's go back to our breathing. Let's inhale. Then exhale. Inhale. Then exhale. It's okay if other thoughts keep coming to mind. And just let them go. Let them pass by, just like passing clouds. Okay. As we take more breaths, you may imagine a gentle, soft, beautiful cloud in your favorite color forming at your feet. As that is happening, okay, you may go ahead and relax your feet. Okay, unfurl your toes. Wherever there's tension, soles of your feet, by your heels, by your ankles, go ahead, release and soften. Okay, and take note Take note of that soft and relaxed feeling. Let's take a few more breaths together. Inhale. And exhale. And be good. Okay. Now, imagine that same cloud rising towards your calves. As this is happening, go ahead. Relax your calves. Along with your knees, bring that all the way to your thighs. Wherever you're holding tension, go ahead, relax, soften those muscles. Okay. Take your time as you do this. Okay. There you go. You may bring your attention then to your waist, okay? Your sitting bones. You might notice maybe it's aching in some places. Just go ahead and release and soften. Together, let's inhale. Then exhale. Very good. Now, as you're feeling your lower body in that relaxed state, try to imagine that same cloud, that same beautiful cloud wrapped around your waist, helping with that softening, with that relaxation. Together, let's inhale, then exhale. Very good. If you need to roll, shift your weight, go right ahead and do that. Now we see that cloud rising up further. Go over to your hands, to your elbows, to your arms. As it goes, as it rises even further, allow yourself, okay, to relax wherever you notice feelings of tension. Okay. Let's take a few breaths. Inhale. Then exhale. Just allow yourself to soften, okay, and release. Okay. Very good. Okay. And let's bring that cloud upwards even further, okay? As we notice it in our chest and even our shoulder area. Okay. Let's have another breath. Inhale. Then exhale. And just release. Release and soften. Okay. And allow yourself to feel that. Okay. Feel into that relaxation. Okay. And keep breathing. Go right ahead. Okay, and if you'd like, you may sway as well. Together, let's inhale. Then exhale. Now we're feeling that cloud rising up even more. Okay. Touching your chin. Okay. Moving to the tips of your ears. Relaxing your whole face. All the way to the top of your head. Together, let's take another breath. Inhale. Then exhale. Go ahead and soften your face. Wherever we are holding tension, okay, between your brows, the sides, the temples, maybe your cheeks. Okay, go ahead and just relax. Okay, very good. Okay. Now you may notice that you're feeling that relaxation, that softness, okay, from the tips of your toes, okay, to the tips of your fingers, all the way to the top of your head. Just breathe into that and feel that relaxation. Okay, and now you can imagine yourself being surrounded, okay, by this beautiful cloud. Okay, you can feel the softness and the gentleness, okay, of it as it embraces you. Okay, really just helps, okay, with that relaxation. Okay. As you continue to breathe, let that cloud fly, okay, and float just around with you in it as well. Okay. So you may notice, okay, that lightness in you. Okay, so go ahead and feel that. Okay, let's take a deep breath. Inhale. Then exhale. Okay, and just allow yourself to float around even more. Okay, just feel it. Go ahead and enjoy it as well. And again, let's inhale together. And exhale. Okay, and when you are ready, you may see or even feel that cloud, okay, floating softly down, 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 until you come back to where you're seated, back to your immediate space, back to the room. And let's take a few more breaths together. Inhale. Then exhale. Okay, then inhale. Then exhale. You may allow yourself to move slowly. Okay, roll your shoulders, wiggle your toes, okay, shift your weight. Okay, slowly open your eyes. Okay, and with one stretch, let's take one more breath. Inhale, then release, exhale. Okay.
Thank you very much, Marielle. Now, we will move on to our main activity, and the title po of our main activity today is Feelings Circle. Ayan, bilang paghahanda, if you can grab hold of very simple materials po that we'll be needing. One clean sheet of paper, it can be scratch, basta po blank yung isang side, no? And then any coloring materials you have on hand, markers, crayons, pencils, kung ano man pong meron kayo. If those are ready, we can go on to our instructions. All right, step 1. Take the sheet of paper and divide it in half. Just a fold or maybe a line in between. Step 2. Sa kaliwang bahagi, on the left side, write down all the feelings you feel in the moment now that you are back in school. Pag-isipan, ano ba ang iba't ibang damdamin na aking nararamdaman at kinikilala ngayon na bumalik na tayo lahat sa paaralan. Ngayon na face-to-face na ulit at hindi na online o modular. Pag nalista na po natin ang mga damdamin yan, let's assign a color for each of these feelings. Kunyari, excited, nervous, uncertain, grateful. Kung meron po tayong lista, wala pong number na kailangan kung ano lang po talaga ang ating nararamdaman sa ngayon. Tapos, ternuhan po natin ng kulay ang bawat feeling. Okay, step 3. Sa kanang bahagi naman, on the right side, we would like you to draw a circle. Hindi naman po kailangan perfecto. Next, divide it according to how strongly you feel each feeling you identified on the left side. So, kung mas malakas ang inyong pakiramdam ng excitement, mas malaki syempre ang bahagi na kanyang makukuha sa bilog. Para tayong gumagawa ng pie chart, no? So you may assign percentages or use other symbols or shapes in addition to the color to express your feeling. Kung gusto po nating makita yung iba't ibang kulay na sumisimbolo sa iba't ibang damdamin na inyong nararamdaman ngayon. At gusto rin nating makita gaano mo kalakas nararamdaman ang bawat damdamin na iyong isinulat. Alright, so teachers po, we hope you are following the activity with us. So we'll give you around 3 minutes to complete your feeling circle and to make you feel more relaxed and maybe get you into the activity. We'll play a bit of music as you complete your feeling circle for this afternoon. Thank you very much. Okay po. Sana po sa bahaging ito, unti-unti na rin nating tinatapos ang ating feeling circle. Ayan. So on to our next part. If everyone is ready and we've completed our artwork, we would like to invite for our participants to share. As we go about our session now, we are online. You can do it again via the comment section of our Facebook page. But what is it that you would like to say po about your feeling circle? If there's a way for you to show it as well, that would be best. You would like to say about it? What is the story behind your feeling circle? And we can even talk about what did you feel or what did you discover about yourself as you were making your feeling circle. So we'll give you a bit of time to think about that. Pagnilayan po. At kung inyo pong nais, pwedeng-pwede po syembreng ibahagi sa comment section. At pwede nyo rin pong makita kung ano ang mga dumating at naging pagninilay at pagbabahagi ng iba nating kasama. Thank you very much for your openness. And so for the next part, I will turn you over to TJ.
Alright, marami pong salamat Miss Rains para sa ating main activity na Feeling Circle at para sa pag-share rin po ng ating guide questions. So I hope po no, nakapag-comment po tayo tungkol sa ating nais i-share na mga na-discover natin sa ating Feeling Circle. Ngayon naman ay pupunta tayo sa ating synthesis o discussion. So sa parte po na to ng ating session, saka naman po natin tatahiin yung mga nadiskubre natin at para din siyang munting pabaon no, para sa ating mga learners. To give more information on what was done, yung point ng activity, and also to provide structure to what has been experienced. No? So ang ating synthesis or discussion for today ay tungkol sa making space for our feelings. A while ago po no, sa ating feeling circle, nagawa na natin ang pag-make space para sa ating feelings. At next naman, iintindihin po natin ang paano nga ba mag-make space for our feelings. Ngayon na nagawa natin yung feeling circle, ano naman ang gagawin natin doon, di ba? Okay, so let's go to our next slide. Okay, yan. So, ito po ang ating tinatawag na circle or cycle of mastery. Tayo po ay magsisimula sa clarity. So, habang po ginawa niyo yung inyong feeling circle, maaari po na na-identify nyo kung ano-ano yung iba't ibang emosyon, iba't ibang nararamdaman natin ngayon na tayo ay bumabalik sa face-to-face setting. Maaari rin po no, para sa ating mga guro, na isang buwan na po no, nasa face-to-face setting, baka po mas naintindihan natin kung ano yung mga nararamdaman natin the past few weeks. So clarity, nagkakaroon tayo ng linaw sa nararamdaman natin sa inner state natin. Baka rin po na-experience nyo no, na mas naintindihan nyo po na, ay masaya rin pala ako. And at the same time, medyo struggle din for me, no? That's okay. Kung may conflicting emotions, it's okay. So, parte lang po yun ng clarity that we're trying to attain. Next po, from this stage of clarity, we next have information. So, ang ating emotions, no, ating mga nararamdaman ay suppliers, messengers of information. Ngayon, marami po tayong information na makukuha mula sa ating emotions if we listen to them. So unang-una, it tells us the amount of energy that we have. So for example, no, isipin po natin kung ano yung pagkakaiba sa enerhiya, sa energy na dala ng emotion na excited. Diba? Mataas. Bibong-bibo, game na game. Pero ang emotion naman na nanglalamya or hesitant, o kaya may agam-agam, medyo mababa ko, no? So, merong mataas, high energy emotions, meron ding low energy emotions. So, yun po, yung unang piece of information. Another piece of information is, madali ba para sa akin na ma-experience tong emotion na to o mahirap? So for example, mas madali po maramdaman ang saya at excitement, no? Kesa po sa kung tayo ay may agam-agam o kaya medyo nagdadalawang isip, mahirap to be in that state, di ba? So ang takeaway po natin doon, kung tayo ay nasa difficult, unpleasant emotion, that's okay. Baka lang po kailangan natin to be a bit gentler, to be a bit more accepting sa ating mga nararamdaman. So yun po ang pangalawa. Pangatlo ay, ano bang kailangan ko? It gives us information about what we need. So for example, na-identify po natin no, na tayo ay may agam-agam, tayo ay pagod, tayo ay feeling stretched. So ano kaya ang kailangan natin kung ganun yung mga nararamdaman natin? Maaring kailangan natin magpahinga, maaring kailangan natin ng makausap ang ating kaibigan o kaya co-teachers, no, para to help us feel more at ease and so on. Next piece of information is, last piece of information po, is how to get what I need. So kung na-identify po natin na mukhang kailangan ko ng kausap o kaya mukhang kailangan ko ng pahinga, Then, it gives us information na, okay, I will go ahead, chichikahin ko or kakausapin ko yung matalik kong kaibigan tungkol dito. And from there po, pupunta tayo sa action. So, taking steps, making changes to get myself what I need. So, yun po, no? Na-identify natin na, naku, meron akong doubts, nagdadalawang isip ako. Ngayon, pwede kong kausapin yung aking kaibigan. And when I do that, siguro, mas nakatulong siya sa loob ko, no? We are now able to take action that is aligned with our true intentions. So kung ang intention po natin talaga is to be there fully as present as possible para sa ating learners, meron tayong aligned action with that intention. Kung meron po tayong aligned action, that gives us better clarity on what mood we're experiencing, on what inner state we have, and paikot naman po ulit yung ating cycle of mastery. So, yun po ang munting pabaon on how to make space for our emotions, for our feelings. So, napaka-importante po yun para sa ating sarili, para sa mga taong nakapaligid sa atin, at para sa ating learners. At sana po meron kayong napulot na magkakatulong sa inyo mula sa synthesis na ito. Kung meron po kayong napulot na tingin yung meaningful, please feel free to comment that in our chat box, in our comment section. Ayan po, no? So feel free to share kung saan po kayo nakarelate. Okay, so that's our synthesis. Ngayon naman po, tayo ay pupunta sa ating last part of the program, of our psychosocial support activity, which is the closing. Yan. Alright. Sa ating closing, meron lamang po tayong activity to wrap everything together. At ang ating closing activity po ay tinatawag na I leave behind, I take with me. Okay. So saglit po tayong tumigil, saglit po nating pakinggan ang nangyayari sa ating loob at tignan kung ano kaya yung nais natin ipamahagi sa iba. Ano yung gusto nating i-leave behind. At mula doon, pwede din nating tignan kung ano naman yung gusto nating iuwi sa ating sarili. What do we want to take home with us? So para siyang exchange. What do you want to leave behind? And what do you want to take home with you? Again, you're very, very welcome to comment that in our comment section. At feel free to also look at others' inputs din po, no? At tayo po ay mag-encourage ng isa't isa. So that ends our whole demo for the psychosocial support activity. And ngayon po, pasok na po kayo muli kay Ms. Rainey para sa ating explanation of this whole demonstration. Thank you.
Ayan, napakagaling talaga ng demonstration, no, mula sa ating mga kaibigan sa Magis Creative Spaces, no. Kahit virtual tayo ngayong hapon, ay naging malinaw pa rin sa atin ang proseso, no, at step by step na gawain para sa pagbibigay ng psychosocial support sa ating mga klase. So kung nagustuhan ninyo ang ating activity this afternoon, no, bigyan po natin ng thumbs up or pusuan po natin ang ating mga resource person, ating mga kaibigan sa Magis Creative Spaces. Ang gagaling, no? Ang gagaling. Sana po nagno-notes po tayo ngayong hapon, no, para hindi po natin malimutan ang lahat ng natututunan natin. Gusto ko lang po mag-shout out, no, sa mga schools na live na nanonood ngayon. Hello po sa Bangkal Elementary School ng Lapu-Lapu City, no. At syempre, pati na rin po ang Kabulay High School, no, mula sa SDO Santiago City, no, na under ng leadership ng school head natin na si Elmer Chita B. Rubica. Hello po sa inyo. Salamat po sa panonood ngayong hapon. Kanina rin po, no, nung hinikayat ng ating mga speakers, ang viewers na gumawa ng ating activity, yung feelings circle. Ang dami po nating nakitang mga comments, no? Basahin ko lang po ito, no? Galing po kay Miss Villary Vilma Domenden. Mine is 20% apprehensive or nervous. The color is green because there is hope in the long term. 80% excited, no? And the color is red because red is the blood of excitement. Wow! Galing naman po no, kay Ma'am Mabel Agurin Layugan. 90% yellow ang kanyang feelings circle, no? Because she is happy to be back to what she loves doing the most, which is teaching. So ang galing, di ba? Parang we are teaching our learners math, di ba, using percentage, but at the same time, no, providing psychosocial support, no? We are teaching them to be self-aware and to express themselves. So ganun po yung power ng psychosocial support, no? Ganun po yung power ng expressive arts. Ayan, so pumunta na po tayo sa susunod, no? At huling bahagi na ng ating discussion this afternoon. Siyempre, no, dahil iba-iba ang ating mga mag-aaral, meron rin tayong kanya-kanyang mga kalakasan, no, at pamamaraan ng pagbibigay suporta. Dahil dyan, no, magbibigay naman ng suporta at gabay si Miss Rainy mula sa Magis Creative Spaces sa kung paano nga ba pwede makatulong ang tinatawag nating Smart Play Table. Si Miss Rainy po ay ang Senior Expressive Arts Facilitator mula sa Magis Creative Spaces, and she is also a founding member of AHA Books, where she authored several resilience-focused books for school-age children. So bigyan natin ng virtual warm welcome si Miss Rainy.
Ayan, hinga-hinga po muna tayo sa ngayon. That was a lot to take in, no? But we proceed with this part where we share with you what we call our Smart Play Table. SMART stands for sensory, mindful, and art-based play. And this was developed by the founder of Magis Creative Spaces, Dr. Gina Alfonso. All right. And why do we share this with you? No, this can be as a guide or your reference to designing your own psychosocial support activities that are expressive arts and play-based. No, and it's whether you do it as an independent session, like we experienced earlier, or as integrated into your subjects, into the different subjects you teach. Pwedeng-pwede rin. Actually, teachers, you'll find po that most of these activities, we're sure po, you already are doing, no? But we're just reviewing it now so that we also remind ourselves of how it positively affects our brain and the rest of our development. It affects us as adults and also affects our learners, the children whom we teach and care for, no? And you'll see that the table is divided into the healing parts and the learning part. So these activities, visual art, writing, dance, movement, drama, storytelling, music, and others, will be showing in the following parts how these affect and contribute to healing and learning. Very exciting po, di ba? So as we go through all of this, I invite you po to think about how you may already apply or already be applying these into the subjects that you teach or into the practices that you have already in your classroom. I won't be reading through the text in each of the slides. You can go through it on your own. No, I'll just be highlighting and making mention of the points to emphasize for each. All right. So our first art form is visual art. Ayan. So under visual art, diba, there are many things like drawing, as simple as drawing, coloring, painting, using mixed materials, no? So these are just some forms of it, some examples of it. And ito na nga po yung sinasabi natin, no? How the creation of visual art helps in healing and in learning. But maybe what's important to note here is that it externalizes what can be difficult to express, no? If expression usually is via words, verbally or written, the creation of visual art helps in um, giving our learners another means to express themselves, no? So whether it's their feelings or concepts that they learned, visual art can be a way to kind of let that out. Diba? Okay. The next form of art is writing. This could be in the form of journaling, ano pa, poetry, any form of composition, no? Whether it's fictional or non-fiction, di ba? And what is it? How does it help? For sure, especially the language teachers among us, no? There are many writing exercises, but it's good to note that it also helps in the healing part, no? Sa pagpapahilom sa mga tao, those who engage in it, no? So it's growing in language and communication skills. And again, it's a beautiful way of self-expression. The next naman po is dance and movement. And this is very fun, no? Usong-uso rin siguro ngayon sa mga estudyante nating mahihilig mag-TikTok at paro-paro, G. Pero hindi lang yan kasiyahan, no? Makikita po natin na meron at meron din yan talagang benepisyo for the brain and for the rest of our development. So, dance could be with music, but it can also be just as simple as stretching and using our body in different ways and standing up from our seats, no? And assuming different positions. That really helps, no? And we cannot underestimate or downplay just how much it helps us, no? So again, these are the things and how it helps in the healing and the learning. But what's important to note is that it helps ground the participant, ground the self in the here and now. Paglipad ang ating utak, no? And we feel that many times our body is physically present, but our minds, our spirits are somewhere else. And dancing and movement helps to pull us together and remind us that we are in the here and now, in this time and in this space. And of course, we don't forget that it also helps in the development of fine and gross motor skills, no? Mahalaga rin lalo na sa mga bata, pero kahit sa ating mga matatanda na medyo nangangalawang ng mga kasukasuan. Alright, TikTok pa more. Sunod naman po, drama and storytelling. And I know we also do this, no? Pwede sa civica, no? Sa reenactment of Philippine history. Ano pa? Again, sa reading and language. Many ways. Kahit nga sa science, eh. Di ba? Pretend that your cells, how would a cell act? Di ba? So it can be in the form of skits, whether there's a script. It's also good to have, to be open to spontaneity, no? Spontaneous lang. And why is this good for healing and learning? It's a beautiful way to build self-expression and self-confidence, di ba? And it's also good if we give our learners the freedom to decide on the plot. So there's a sense of control that we give for them. And then you build their imagination, your creativity. So lahat talaga win-win-win. And if you integrate it into your subject matter, then it's a beautiful way also, a most effective way for them to remember, because I acted it out, because I used my body, my imagination, mas malalim ang tatak at mas naalala. So also a win for you as a teacher. Ano pa po ba? Dami, no? Very exciting. So music, of course, no? The creation of music, whether it's listening to music, that's one, or engaging in making music through singing, through experimenting with sounds, no? Whether it's with actual instruments or with made-up instruments or materials from just all around making a beat, tapping your hands, tapping your body parts. No excuse not to make music, no? And it's just really a wonderful thing to engage in. Diba? So these again are the ways that it benefits us in healing and also learning. And it's good to note here no, that there are certain areas in the brain that respond only to music and provoke certain emotional responses. And I know you po, teachers, listeners, have very personal experiences with this, no? When we're going through something, whether it's something super happy or something not so pleasant, no? Music really helps soothe us, heals us, brings us to a different place. No? And there's just a magic and power to it that we'd also like to, of course, bring to our classroom, no? And let our students experience more often. Ayan. And then there are other art forms that we may want to explore also like sculpture, no? Pag mold or eskultura, no? So it can be with clay, whether store-bought, it can be homemade clay. If you look it up in the net, no? Napakarami pong recipes for that, no? Something, parang I think the simplest recipe I saw for homemade clay is just a mix of cornstarch and hair conditioner. And then lalagyan mo lang ng kulay no ng food coloring. But sculpture can also be made using other materials like paper, scratch paper or ano po ba, wire, alambre no. So iba-iba. But what is it that we want to kind of build here no? It's the shaping and reshaping. And with that po, we communicate that, you're able to transform things. And maybe in this sense, they also are given the conviction that they can do this for other parts of their lives. And that alone, di ba? Cheesy as it may sound, but it truly is very an empowering truth, no? That you can shape and reshape and transform things that are in your control and therefore do it for yourself as well. What are other activities? Play games. I'm sure po teachers, you do this every so often. But it's not just all about fun, di ba? I mean, but it's beautiful if there's always fun. And sa totoo lang, di ba, parang tatatak at tatatak yan. And they'll look forward. They'll be more engaged. They'll look forward to going to class and learning, right? And it won't feel so much like work. But games is a fun is it can be in the form of icebreakers, no? Just to up the energy, maybe at the beginning of the day, to wake up all the senses, right? But it can also be a fun way to review concepts, no? Instead of your usual pen and paper quiz na medyo tense at kinakabahan lahat. Not that that's bad altogether, but you can choose an alternative way to review no through games. So it promotes healthy competition and also collaboration, no, cooperation, teamwork. So all those good things that are essential not just in the classroom, not just to achieve academic goals, but for life. It can be built through these simple things, no? And then there's breathing. This we experienced earlier. It's something very basic, but we'll admit, no, it's something that is so taken for granted and something so basic, no. And in the time of COVID, no, I know I'm not alone po in admitting na talagang just how breath, the gift of your breath, no, is equal to the gift of life and another second and moment of life, no. So if you're able to do this with your class, and I personally have done this as a teacher before, no, a minute of silence and just deep breathing before the class, you'll see how it works wonders po with even the youngest of children, no, just to allow that time of calm. It can even be integrated po in your prayer time if you choose to pray in class. And it helps them center and calm themselves down and relax, no? And to just get ready for the rest of the activities that you have for them. So let's not underestimate that. And then there's positive visualization, which is sort of related to breathing, but it's usually done po with a guided script. So if you aren't familiar with this, there are so many resources on the internet. So you can just type that in, and then you can say meditation script for courage or gratefulness. Meron yan parang iba-ibang themes, no? So there's lots of samples on the net. Some samples even were made specifically for kids, so simpler po ang language. If you find that you have time, it would even be best, and we would highly recommend that you translate it po to your own language, no? Kung saan man kayo sa Pilipinas, para talagang mas dama nila, mas pumasok sila dun sa visualization exercises. Yun, and then you reap the benefits of how it relaxes you and brings you really to a good place, no? To a good place, even if it's just in your imagination, but it does affect how you view life, no? And this is what we want to teach our learners as well. All right. And lastly, there's the building of connection and community. And we know po that this can be done in so many ways. Diba? The activities that we mentioned earlier all help to build this. But there are other ways, no? Like individual conversations with your students, right? With each of your students. That's building a sense of connection. Or like group work, or even hopefully ngayon na face-to-face na, sana bumalik na ulit yung mga activities tulad ng sports fest. Kung pwede lang, no? Still of course, taking safety precautions. But these activities are not just fun, really, no? But we think about them, and it does help in building that sense of belonging, that sense of being included. And it is so important for a person not to feel that in family, to feel that in school, and to feel that in your community, even in your classroom, in the little community that your classroom is. It's important to make each student, each member of your classroom feel that, diba? And that's when they recognize that this is a safe space, that I don't have to pretend, and I can be myself. And in recognizing that, that's when they can thrive and really blossom and grow and maximize their potentials, no? So win po ito lahat. That's why we're just so excited and passionate to share these with you. And again, we're saying, no, these are things that we know you already know. It's just a good time to remind ourselves about these, especially now that we come back to the face-to-face, no, face-to-face setup in school. So again, just a brief overview of all that we discussed as part of the Smart Play table. So I hope po that at this point, you regard these things not as art lang or laro lang, but art in play that is fun, but is also beneficial in so many ways. And in what we saw, it helps specifically in healing, 'di ba? Sa pagpapahilom at sa pagbuo ng katauhan ng bawat isa, no, those who engage in it, and also in learning. So these help in in um in reaching and addressing our academic and learning goals there. All right. And just as a reminder, I know we've been saying this na earlier, but we'd like to emphasize that the psychosocial support activities, we encourage you to do as standalone sessions in the way that we did it earlier during the demonstration, no, where there was a complete flow from beginning, middle to end, di ba? Where we had the greetings, the check-in or kumustahan, the guidelines, the main activity, the sharing, the synthesis, the closing, di ba? If you find that you can integrate that regularly, depending on you po, on how regular, that would be so beautiful. That would be the best. But we also encourage you to integrate it into the different subject matters that you are teaching, no? And again, as earlier mentioned, we know that many of these activities you're already doing. but because today we reminded ourselves of the healing and learning aspects of each of these art activities and even play, no, we hope that this encourages you to be more intentional in integrating it into the subjects that you already teach. And lastly, we encourage you also, and I don't think we stressed this enough earlier, no, but we encourage you to personally engage in these activities as well. Allow yourself to play, allow yourself to experience the benefits of art making. No? If you can do it with your students, why not? If you can do it at your own time as part of your self-care, that's also a beautiful, beautiful exercise. All right, we're just going back to this. This is a slide that we shared much earlier, but at this point, and we are towards the last part already of our webinar, we'd like to really encourage you to think of psychosocial support activities, no? To design your own, because we know you are capable of doing so. And then just take these things into consideration. Again, the age and level of your learners. Related to that are their skills and abilities. Ano bang kaya nila, no? Maaaring may iba sa atin, may mga estudyante na merong special needs. So please take into consideration those as well. Di ba, we mentioned we can give options or we can give variations. Nothing is set in stone, no? So we can all make adjustments, no? Just for them to be able to engage and reap the benefits also of these activities. Then you can, of course, also consider their interests, no? Build on their interests. And then important consideration also is their culture and their background, no? So especially maybe for some of the teachers who are attending here, you teach po our indigenous peoples brothers and sisters, mga katutubo. So of course, there are cultural nuances that we would like to take note of and respect. Kunyari po, I've heard po dati, no, may ilan po na para sa kanila sagrado ang clay, no? So if we know those things, then we won't work with things that are sacred, no? Or will regard these things with respect. So just important to take note of those, no? And again, please don't feel limited with if you feel that materials you have on hand are kaunti lang, because you can always work with alternatives. You can work with recycled materials. You can work with materials from around nature. So we are not lacking. No? You can work with anything around you, no? And then another consideration is the time. The time you prepare for your activities, and also the time that you actually carry out the activities with your class. Yan, what we have now is a sample template, no, of a blank activity sheet, just to help you get started in designing your own activities. So you may or may not choose to fill out all the fields here. You may choose to work with like another format altogether. So this is just a recommended format po, no, or a sample template that we are suggesting that you might want to use, no. So makita po natin, there's the activity title, for what level, and then the time, the description and objective, what do we want to achieve in with the activity. Tapos yung healing and learning component, we can refer to the SMART table for that. The materials you need, the venue for the activity, as mentioned also earlier, no, we can explore other venues besides the classroom. If in the classroom, we can change up the setup a bit, diba? Or if outside the classroom, best po always if in nature, around trees, if we're able to do that, or in another venue altogether, no, where there's much open space. Just a change of environment also helps. And then groupings, the directions for the actual activity, what to do step by step. And then as you process the activity, what could be your discussion questions? What could be your points as you wrap up your discussion? And then what could be your suggestions po for follow-up at home? So this is just a sample template again that you may want to follow as you create your own psychosocial support activities. Ayan, at this point, no, I'm sure po with confidence na kayo sa paglikha ng sarili nyo, and alam po namin, tiwala po kaming kayang-kaya nyo yan. All right, and just to end our lecture part, no, thank you for staying with us throughout this time. We leave you with this very simple message, no? As we enter back into this, parang re-enter into what was normal before the pandemic, which is the face-to-face, we remind ourselves that we are not just there as instructors, no, that we're all just about achieving academic goals, but we're there as a teacher and as a companion. Kalakbay sa Tagalog, no? Kalakbay, meaning nandyan tayo upang sabayan ang ating mga estudyante, ang mga batang ipinagkatiwala sa atin, no? Sabayan at alalayan sila. At kinikilala rin natin, no, na hindi madali ang pinagdaanan ng kahit sino. Hindi madali ang pinagdaanan natin, hindi rin madali ang pinagdaanan o pinagdadaanan nila sa pag-transition natin, no, nitong nakaraang 2 taon na karamihan mula sa bahay ang mga ganap. Ngayon na pabalik na tayo ng face-to-face class. We acknowledge that there will be adjustments. And these adjustments won't happen overnight. And we do these things like design psychosocial support activities, try to integrate them into their subjects, because this is our way of saying, you know what, we're here for you. Whatever you feel, you can be true. This is a safe space. And then we'll ease our way in, no? We'll take it gently. We'll take it gradually. We'll make baby steps together, no? And it's beautiful lang po to be able to encourage our students, no matter how young or old na sila, no? Pero I know po we are one in wanting to be true and genuine teacher companions to our children. Ayan. And the last note there is that one can't pour from an empty cup. So ang paalalang ito ay hindi natin maaalagaan o mabibigyan ng sapat na aruga at alaga ang ating mga estudyante kung hindi rin natin yun naibibigay sa ating mga sarili bilang guro. And this is with the recognition that we take on so many other roles, no, apart from teacher. and we won't have enough time to list and mention all those roles, and talaga namang saludo kami sa inyo, no? But may this also come as a reminder to care for yourselves po as teachers. As mentioned, we really hope that you find and make the time to engage in the activities that we mentioned earlier for yourselves as well, no? To reap its benefits, to make it as part of your self-care, so that when you pour out of yourselves for your students, you aren't pouring from something empty, no? But you are filled and you are fulfilled that way, no? So thank you very much, teachers, for staying with us on this learning journey, and we're just super excited po to hear back from you how it has been, how this has helped you, and how we might grow this some more to just be of genuine help and be better teacher companions to our students. Thank you very much.
Ayan, no? So, being a teacher companion. Wow! Maraming salamat sa paalala, Miss Rainy. Nako, napakarami talagang nanonood sa atin ngayong hapon at kabilang na doon ang mga guidance advocates ng Camarines Sur National High School mula sa Naga City. Hello po sa inyo, no? Ngayon, patapos na po tayo ng ating orientation, no? Sana ay mas buo ang ating isipan tungkol sa psychosocial support, no? Medyo maraming kailangan tandaan, pero naniniwala po kami na kayang-kaya nyo po yan, no? Lagi para sa mga bata. Naniniwala kami na ito, no, lahat ng usapan natin ngayong hapon, natural na po ito sa inyong mga guro, di ba? Kapag tayo gumagawa ng lesson plan, syempre inisip po natin yung kanilang mga edad, yung grade level, di ba? Yung skills and abilities sa kanilang interests. So yun po lahat ng kaalaman natin bilang guro, no? It's just being applied here in conducting psychosocial support. At syempre, no, nandito rin naman po ang iyong buong DepEd family, no, upang magbigay ng suporta sa ating mga pagtutupad, no, ng psychosocial support. Ayan. So, para naman marinig natin ano-ano nga bang iba't ibang mga katanungan, no, o paglilinaw mula sa ating mga kaguruan, ay magkakaroon po tayo ng open forum. So, for our viewers, feel free, no, to send your questions in the comments and we will answer them this afternoon. So, again, I would like to welcome back our speakers, no, Miss Rainy, Miss TJ, and Miss Marielle for the open forum. Palakpakan po natin sila. Ayan, hello po. Hi, Miss Rainy, Miss TJ, and Miss Marielle.
Magandang hapon po.
Ayan, so nandito na po tayo ngayon sa ating open forum, no? Actually, may isa na po talaga tayong tanong, no? Mula sa isang participants. Siguro po ang guro na ito ay guro na isang SPED class, no? Kaya ang katanungan po niya, no? And anybody from our speakers is free to answer this. Paano nga po i-conduct ang psychosocial support activities sa mga learners with disabilities or learners with special needs?
I'd like to go first. Yes. Good afternoon, and thank you for that wonderful question. So, like what Miss Rainey said earlier, we can adjust. We can adjust the activities based on the abilities of our learners. Okay, so teachers, you know your students very well, so you can you know what they need and what their capabilities are. So with just a little bit of extra planning, you can make sure that the instructions are easier for them. You can simplify it for them, and you can go with them step by step throughout the whole activity. And of course, we give them extra time so that they can do the art activity. What's important is that our learners have the idea that they can. They get the feeling that they can do the art. Just that feeling of accomplishment. So that's the important part there that we're looking for. So that's good. Thank you.
Yan. Thank you so much, Miss Marielle. Napakaganda ng sinabi niya, no? So, basihan po natin yung pagkakakilala natin sa ating mga learners, no? How do you know your learners, and you can tweak the activities based on that, diba? At ang mahalaga is, by the end of it, no, they get a sense of accomplishment. Yun yung payo sa atin ni Miss Marielle, no? A sense of accomplishment. So kahit anong type of learner po yan, no, kayang-kaya po natin gawin yan. Would anybody else from our speakers like to add anything po? Okay, all good.
Siguro,
Go ahead po.
kung okay lang, no, to refer to our to make us an example, to use an example po, our main activity earlier, no, yung feeling circle. So kanina po, ginawa natin siya with the assumption na kaya na ng participants like you po, teachers, no, na umupo, tapos mag-drawing ng circle mag-isa. So ang suggestion po namin doon, sirs and ma'ams, ay pwede po tayong gumawa ng variations. So paano? Kunyari po, kung medyo mas bata yung participants natin, no, pwedeng alalayan natin sila, or kung merong learners with certain learning disabilities, pwedeng tabihan natin, bigyan natin ng extra support, or gawin nating may variations to the entire activity altogether, wherein iba talaga siya for everyone. Meaning, kunyari, kung mas bata, instead of just letting them draw a circle, baka pwedeng may mga emoji pictures or emoji drawings na chalk lang sa semento, no, sa labas. Tapos takbo sila kung saan feeling nila medyo malungkot sila, or feeling nila medyo masaya sila, doon sila tatakbo, aapak, no. So may mga ganun, pero makikita natin yung konsepto ng pagtukoy, kung ano ang inyong nararamdaman, nandun pa rin. So we can do that, no, for either our entire class, or again to address the initial question, no, for certain students po whom we see has a special is one with special needs. So extra support may be given, extra choices or other accommodations may be made. So it may be made for that specific person or for the entire class. So of course, tiwala naman po kami na kayo po mga guro. Tansyan nyo na rin kung paano gawin yun. But again, nothing is set in stone, and variations and just accommodations can be made. Thank you.
Yan, ang ganda ng suggestion ni Miss Rainy, no? Gumamit po tayo ng mga kung ano lang ang nasa kapaligiran natin, no? And I would just like to add, Miss Rainy, halimbawa, we can actually use music as well, no? Natandaan ko lang nung binabanggit niyo yung activity, no? The important thing is to remember what is the activity for. So if it is for self-expression, no, how can we tweak it but still taking into account yung main target natin, which is self-expression, no? Halimbawa, naisip ko lang po, no, for learners, for example, with visual disability, no, what we can do is use music, no? Baka pwede po nilang sundan yung musika, no, na naangkop sa kanilang nararamdaman sa kasalukuyan, no? So, ayun, mga iba't ibang mga suggestions, no? For our teachers, no, you can also put your suggestions in the comments section, 'di ba? Kung paano po natin gagawin ng mga activities. So, thank you po, Miss Rainy, Miss Mariel. No, we will proceed sa second na tanong po natin. Ayan. The second question naman po is, paano gagawin ang monitoring para sa mga learners mula sa grade 4 to 10?
Miss Lily, I think I can answer that po, no? So para sa monitoring natin for learners from grades 4 to 10, meron po tayong current program that is being developed specifically for that purpose. So abangan nyo lang po, konting hintay pa, and we look forward to showing that to you. Yun po.
Yan, thank you, no? Thank you, Miss TJ. And ako po ay mag-a-agree rin dyan. No? Abangan po natin yung dinedevelop na monitoring para sa mga grades 4 to 10 learners. Ayun, so thank you so much. Ayan, ang dami nating mga tanong this afternoon, no? May isa pa po dito. Bilang isang guro, no, paano ko po ihihikayat ang mga magulang ng aking mag-aaral na makilahok sa pagpapataguyod, no, ng kalusugang pangkaisipan ng kanilang mga anak. Oh, so kanina, meron tayong commenter, no, about yung doing these activities sa bahay, no? At yun, this question is surfacing as well.
Mahalaga po yun. Thank you po sa nagtanong no, kasi mahalagang makilala at kilalanin natin yung mga magulang bilang partners natin, no? Kasi maaaring tama lahat ng ginagawa natin sa school, pero always best po, always ideal talaga kung may follow through and on the same page tayo ng mga parents natin whom we recognize as very essential partners, no, in raising and developing the children. So siguro po nagsisimula yan sa, and there are many ways po, no, of teaching them or maybe giving input, no. It can be very formal ways like cascading this webinar if you would so wish, pero pwede rin pong parang sa mga more informal ways na pag nakikipag-usap lang kayo, alam mo mami, okay po, sa totoo lang kung sabayan nyo lang po yung mga anak nyo, kung feeling po nilang umiyak, siguro pigilan na lang muna natin ang sarili nating sabihin, tama na o wag na, no? Parang siguro nagsisimula sa ganun na maging aware sila na all feelings are valid. Ang daling sabihin, no? Pero sa totoo lang, in the heat of the moment, kunyari, ang feeling ay kalungkutan, o frustration, o galit. Ang hirap ang hirap maano, pero mahalaga yung ma-establish natin at siguro mapaalalahanan natin sa mga magulang na sa totoo lang, pag pinagdadaanan ito ng inyong mga anak, at kahit ninyo, no, ang pinakakailangan muna ay masamahan lang muna sila. So, as we try to do it as teacher companions, it's important that the parents also, no, of course, as their primary caregivers, find that this role is also important. And it's hard, it's difficult at first, no, but we do have to recognize how important it is, no, to embrace all these big feelings, whether pleasant or unpleasant, no? Wala kasing tama o mali, no? Minsan nagkakamali lang pag may action na about those feelings na outwardly show na negative, no? But I think it begins with that. Tapos kung may ibang paraan pa upang maibahagi rin sa kanila itong mga natututunan natin dito, like encouraging them to play with their children. Sabi mo, alam niyo mami, sa totoo lang ang paglalaro, hindi yan sayang sa oras. Hindi kailangan laging, syempre gagawin ang homework, magbabasa, no? Pero kung feel nila maglaro at maging malaya sa kalikasan, okay lang yan mami, kung sigurado naman naligtas sila doon, di ba? So yung mga gano'n, na malaman lang nila na may science, may psychology that supports this. So it's okay. So yun, I think it begins with that awareness building po, no? And if they're interested in deepening the conversation, then why not follow through with that? But those basic things lang po of reminding them that art making is not a waste of time, that play is not a waste of time, it's beneficial. Moving around and doing other things apart from sitting down and nakatutok sa cellphone is always good, no? So yun po ang mga basic lang naman, alam natin yan lahat, pero magandang maipaalala sa mga magulang. Yun po.
Yan, napakasiksik ng sagot ni Miss Rainy. Thank you so much, no? So, it can be very simple as yung raising of awareness, no, sa ating mga parents. You can share this video, you can share the materials, no? Or simply letting them know na okay lang po maglaro, no? Okay lang po gumawa ng mga arts activities. Hindi po ito sayang sa oras, no? In fact, it can help the learners or their kids, no, for that matter. At yung sabi rin po ni Ms. Rainy, no, it can be as simple as being with them, no? Samahan lang po natin sila sa mga pakiramdam nila, kung ano po yung kalagayan ng ating mga anak, no, ng ating mga learners. Samahan lang din po natin sila. So thank you so much sa nagtanong, no, at maraming salamat din po kay Ms. Rainy. So we proceed
Lil,
na. Yes po,
pasensya
yes po.
na, kung pwede lang dagdagan, no?
Go ahead.
Nagsisimula. Pasensya na dahil mainit ng ating usapan. Kung nagsimula na sa chika at nakita naman na open ang parents, no? Tapos sina teachers ay medyo gamay na rin ang pagpapatakbo nitong psychosocial support activity sa classroom. Next step would be, and a recommendation, no, would be to invite the parents over and have mini sessions with their kids in school para ma-experience rin nila. Kasi as we said in our lecture, no, parang these things that we're teaching really are not just for kids, but for adults as well. And the benefits talaga are surprising, no? And it would be beautiful for the parents to experience it firsthand and see na, wow, ito ang naging dulot sa akin. And dahil naranasan ko siya, believe ako na this will do good for my children as well. So that can be another step po that we really encourage that the teachers to do. Yun po.
Yun, no? So, paalala po mula kay Miss Rainey, no? You can let them experience firsthand, yung ating mga parents, what it is like to be supported, no? Para maintindihan nila na, ganito pala, no? Kaya ko rin pala tong gawin, no? Sa aking mga anak. Ayan. Thank you, Miss Rainey, no? Ang dami nating questions. Grabe, no? Isusunod ko na po ito. Ang tanong po ay, could Bible storytelling be used in psychosocial support activity? Oh, let's see. Could Bible storytelling be used as a psychosocial support activity?
Hello, yes. Of course, yes, why not? Kung nakaka-relate po doon ang ating learners, pwedeng-pwede, no? It might help them to also discover aspects about what they're feeling. Kung kung nakaka-relate sila sa characters in the Bible story, baka mas magkaroon sila ng insight about themselves through that. Pwedeng-pwede po yan.
Yun. Thank you, Miss TJ. So, pwede po, no? Pero siguro dagdagan lang po natin ng munting paalala, no? Okay lang po ito kung ang ating mga learners ay Katoliko, di ba? Halimbawa, syempre, that's where we use the Bible studies. Pero halimbawa po, diverse ang religion ng ating klase, no? We can be open, no, to using different kinds of teachings, no, for our psychosocial support. Basta, lagi nating tatandaan, ang mahalaga, no, ano yung prinsipyo, no, behind it? What is the principle behind it? And how can we apply it to our learners? Ayan. So, susunod po na tanong. Grabe, parang, feeling ko nasa po tayo, no? Parang interview, di ba? Ang dami nating mga tanong. Okay, ito po. If I am not feeling okay now as a teacher, can I still conduct the activities?
May I? Yes. Okay, so it's thank you for that question, and it's good that you are recognizing and acknowledging that you are not feeling so okay. Okay, so if you do have to conduct these activities, it is okay again to take care of yourself first. Okay, so what if you're in the classroom and it's happening already? You can just take a few moments to breathe and to move. And what's great is that you can ask your students to join you as well. This is called co-regulation. Okay, so you can invite your students to breathe, take a deep breath with you and then exhale. And then you can do some physical movements and they can just follow you. And afterwards, when you conduct the activity, you can also do it with them as it is happening. Okay, what's important is, yes, you are able to acknowledge what's happening, what's going on inside, and say that it's okay. And that's the importance there. You are connected with your feelings, and at the same time you're doing something about it. Self-care can be as simple as pausing to breathe and then just being with your students. I hope that makes sense. Thank you.
Wow! So may bago ako natutunan today, no, yung co-regulation. So ang ganda nung sinabi ni Miss Mariel, no, na una, di ba, acknowledge yourself that you were able to notice that you were not okay, no? Because it's the first step to doing something about it, di ba? And what self-care can be as simple as simply pausing to breathe, no? Collect yourself first before we face our learners. So thank you, Miss Mariel, and thank you rin po sa nagtanong. Miss TJ po ay may idadagdag.
Yes, oo, konting dagdag lang, no? So maganda po yun na talagang bawat opportunity na tayo ay magko-conduct ng psychosocial support activity, maganda po na tayo ay mag-check-in sa ating sarili. Minsan kasi, di ba, hindi natin na-realize later on na, ay, hindi pala ako sobrang okay. Kaya medyo naging rough pala yung araw ko. Saka lang natin na-realize kapag talagang nag-pause tayo. So, maganda na bago pa man natin simulan ang ating psychosocial support activity, check-in natin yung sarili natin. Kung kailangan niyo po ng ideas about what to do, meron po tayo niyan dun sa ating psychosocial support activity packet. Nandun po yun sa how to use. So, pwedeng-pwede niyo po i-check out yun.
And thank you so much, Ms. TJ, for that reminder, no? So you can refer to our PSAP. Ayan. So meron pa pong mga tanong, no? So to our speakers, no? Paano po ba malalaman kung effective yung mga activities na ginagawa para sa aming mga estudyante? Ayan, sige. Siguro po, no, I would also like to take this opportunity to share, no, what we have learned from the pilot schools who conducted this. So, nung una po, nung November, no, there was 100 schools selected, no, to pilot yung face-to-face learning modality namin. Doon po natin unang sinigawa yung psychosocial support activity pack, no. At isa sa mga indicators, no, na malalaman natin na effective talaga yung paggawa ng ating mga activities is as simple as if your learner responds to you. Ngumiti ba siya sa'yo? Ngumiti ba siya sa activity mo? Pinansin ba niya yung mga kaibigan niya? Nakilahok ba siya sa mga gawaing pangklase? Nakita po namin ito, no, nung binahagi po ng isang grade 1 teacher. Ang kwento niya sa amin na noong unang linggo, no, ng pagbabalik klase, naku, napaka-nervous po niya, no? Ano po yung expectations ng kanyang mga learners. Siya rin po, parang, naku, nakalimutan ko na atang paano magturo, ganon. Kaya nung sinalubong po niya yung mga learners, meron po siyang isang babaeng estudyante na grade 1, no? Na hindi po talaga kumikibo, hindi po talaga sumasagot, no, sa teacher. I'm sure some of the teachers here understand what that feels like, no, yung parang kahit anong hikayat po natin sa bata, hindi po sumasagot, no, hindi po sila kumikibo. Pero ang natandaan lang po ng teacher, no, that time was the concept of safety. So in-apply niya po yung natutunan niya mula sa psychosocial support activity pack. What is safety and how can I let my learner know she is safe here in school? So lagi lang po niya sinasabi doon sa bata, no, na parang okay lang kung hindi ka pa handa na sumali, no? Okay lang kung ayaw mo pang pansinin si teacher, pero gusto kong malaman mo, no, na safe ka dito sa school. Gusto kong malaman mo na mapagkakatiwalaan mo si teacher. And ang ganda nung naging resulta nun, no? Kasi nagkataon, nakausap din po namin yung bata, yung grade 1 na student. At nung tinanong po namin sa kanya, no, kamusta yung pagbabalik klase? Alam mo ko nung sinabi nung bata, ang sabi po nung bata, love ako ni teacher. O, di ba? Ang lalim, no? Nung tinanong namin, paano mo nalaman na love ka ni teacher? Ang sabi lang po ng bata, kasi po tinuruan niya ako. Kasi po kinausap niya ako. Kasi po nakita ko na binigyan niya ng pagkain ng mga kaklase ko. Ganun lang po kasimple. Ganun lang po kasimple, no? Nararamdaman po yun ng ating mga learners. So, isa po yun sa mga paraan, no? Para masabi natin na effective, no? Or epektibo yung mga activities na ginagawa po natin. Would any of our speakers like to add din po? Ay, sige po.
Ang ganda na ng pagbabahagi mo, Lily. Thank you very much. I mean, malaking bagay rin yun, honestly, para sa amin. No? Malaman kung ano nangyayari talaga on the field and excited lang po talaga rin kami marinig ang iba pang bunga nito, no? Yun, thank you very much for that, no? To be seen and to be heard. Nakikita natin na napakahalaga nun kahit sa someone as young as grade 1 nasabi niyo, no? So to add lang siguro ang iba po, also to add, sabi mo, no, how they respond, no? So makikita rin yung in how they behave and their attitude, no? So hindi siya parang sa grades or sa ibang academic subjects na makita mo effective kung mataas ang grade nila sa test, ganyan, no? Pero ito kasi parang mas yung behavior and attitude nila in things they say and also things that they don't say. That's why we covered also yung emotional language, no? So as teachers, we encourage you to be attuned and be sensitive to that because that what is not said can also say a lot. Ayun po. And we'd like to highlight that children need attention, no? And when they're given attention, caring attention, no, na hindi pa laging sinasaway or laging parang padisiplina. Of course, that's also very necessary. But yeah, they're assured that they're loved, that they're in a safe space, and really that makes that prepares the way for them to learn, to thrive, to grow, and all these good things that we hope and dream for them will come when they are assured that they are loved and they're cared for and they are safe where they are at. So
Yun,
Thank
thank you, Miss Rainy. No, grabe, ang saya talaga maging guro, di ba? Just thinking about the potential of what we can do with our learners. No? Ang saya maging guro, di ba? Ayan, so meron pa rin po tayong mga questions, no? Papatuloy ko po. Ito naman po, no? Paano po maa-apply ang psychosocial strategy sa mga mag-aaral ng grade 4 na walang interes matuto ang sarili niya? Hindi po marunong magbasa. Maraming intervention na ang ginawa. Paano po maa-apply ang psychosocial support strategy?
May I try first?
Sige po,
Okay.
Miss Mariel.
Okay. Interesting situation.
Mm-mm.
Again, when it comes to psychosocial support, we want to establish safety. And I think similar yung situation with what Ms. Lily shared earlier. So we meet the learner where they are at that time. So if they don't want to engage with the activities yet, we don't have to force them, but we can let them know that if they feel safe and ready to do so, they can always join and participate. Okay. So like for now, they can just observation. That's all. That's some part of participation in a way, but it's like safer. So we just, again, it's like, you ease them into it. And then if they're not able to read, we make adjustments to that. We can read the instructions out loud. We don't have to use words or writing with the art activities. We what is it? We adjust it, right, to the learner's abilities. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Mariel. I think that also highlights yung kanina nating sinasabi na the language of the children is arts, no, and play. So kahit hindi po tayo marunong magbasa yung bata po, no, marami pa rin pong paraan na mahikayat ang mga bata, no, or mabigyan silang suporta, di ba? Two would be arts and play. Ayan, thank you po, no. So ngayon, no, siguro dito na po tayo sa huling katanungan, pero pwede pa pong humabol ang ating mga viewers, no? Pero huling katanungan na lang po sa inyong tatlo, no? Ano po ang pinakamaigi na motivation na gawin sa mga batang nawawalan ng pag-asa na sila ay papasa, ba? O gusto nang sumuko sa pag-aaral? So how do we motivate learners who are discouraged, no, or who feel hopeless with their studies?
Thank you, Ms. Lily, for that question. Tingin ko po important, no, na bago tayo pumunta sa motivation, maganda rin po sana kung pakinggan muna natin, check-in natin with our learner, ano ba yung pinagdadaanan, ano ba yung nangyari sa bahay, ano ba yung iba't ibang hinaharap nila sa buhay. Baka naman ang dahilan kung bakit hindi ganun ka-motivated ay dahil talagang mabigat yung pinagdadaanan. And if we are able to be there for them, kung maka-provide tayo ng safe space for them, kung saan makakalabas sila ng emotions nila, makaka-express sila, we can slowly guide them, support them towards pursuing their studies, their own learning. So, balik lang din po tayo dun sa I am, I have, and I can. Balik po tayo dun sa basic. Safety, self-awareness, self-expression. We can start there, cultivate muna yung mga bagay na yon, and then we can move on to I have and I can. Ayun lang po.
Thank you, Miss TJ, no? At nais pong magdagdag ni Miss Rainy.
Oo, dagdagan ko lang yung kay Tej, no? Tulad ng nasabi ni Mariel kanina, nabanggit niya yung sense of accomplishment. So kung hindi niya yun nakikita sa kunyari sa pagpasa o sa grades, kung medyo malaki pa yun, no? Maaaring mabigyan natin siya ng pagkakataon magkaroon ng sense of success or accomplishment in simpler and yet in simpler things, pero parang nandun pa rin yung small wins, kumbaga, no? So in these activities, no, in the activities that we present, whether it's arts, pwedeng sculpting, kung drawing siya hiyang, no, basta makita niya na meron siyang kaya at ma-encourage natin siya from there, kasi imposibleng wala siya ni isang kaya, no. Lahat tayo may paniniwala natin na lahat talaga may kaya. So we can start from there and then just yun, maybe that's where the motivation will grow, no? But we're highlighting that there can be a sense of success and accomplishment even in smaller, simpler things, if not that big, daunting thing just yet. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Rainy. Thank you, Miss TJ, no? So, balik po tayo sa basics, no? Tandaan natin yung I am, I have, I can. At syempre po, no, we highlight yung sense of accomplishment kahit hindi po sa mga malalaking bagay, kahit po sa mga munting tagumpay, no, ang mga small wins na tinatawag, we can acknowledge those as well. So, grabe kasi galing sa mga tanong, no, di ba nararamdaman natin yung concern ng mga teachers, no? Yung pagmamahal nila sa kanilang mga estudyante, lahat ng mga tanong, no? Parang galing po siya sa lugar ng concern, no? Pag-aalaga, pag-aaruga, pagmamahal sa mga learners. And thank you to all the teachers who are watching. Thank you to all the teachers, no, who are championing mental health, no? At tandaan ninyo, no, sa mga pagkakataong sa tingin nyo, naku, mahirap na ata ito, no? We learn to link, no, the support to a professional or even to our colleagues, no? Humingi po tayo ng tulong, no? Lagi po yan nandyan. So maraming salamat po, no, sa tatlo nating magagandang mga resource speakers this morning, this afternoon. Thank you so much, no? For the very fruitful session, no? Napakarami pong nag-enjoy ng ating orientation. And now we would like to proceed to present to you the certificate of appreciation. So, ipapakita lang po natin yan sa screen, no? We would like to present the certificate of appreciation to Miss Isabel Z. Sarmiento for being the resource person in the orientation on the conduct and facilitation of psychosocial support for learners on April 7, 2022. Ito po si Ma'am Rainy, no? Syempre, pangalawa po, no, we would also like to present the certificate to Miss Maria Therese Jose or si Miss TJ, no, for also serving as our resource person this afternoon. At panghuli, syempre, hindi po natin marilimutan, no? Si Miss Mariel, no? Miss Marinella Y. Paulino, for serving also as a resource person this afternoon. So, palakpakan po natin sila, no? Pusuan po natin sila, bigyan po natin sila ng thumbs up sa ating mga viewers this afternoon. Ayan. So, we will proceed, no? Syempre, may closing din po tayong gagawin this afternoon, no? I would like to welcome, no, my colleague, no, Mr. Orlando Barachina, Project Development Officer for the closing remarks this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Lily. Yan, thank you very much sa ating unang-una. Pasalamatan ko po muna yung ating mahuhusay na speakers. Maraming salamat po no, sa ating yung partner natin, ang Magis Philippines po. No? Of course, headed by their director po. Maraming salamat po for giving your technical assistance sa ating mga teachers po nationwide. At this is a remarkable activity sa DepEd po because we would be able to not just share the skills that they have learned today, but to really touch lives of our learners nationwide. As teachers po kasi, no, yung talagang mantra ng mga teachers is, to teach is to touch lives. And for them to be able, this is talagang malaking bagay yung shinare po ninyo sa ating mga kasamahan na guro sa Department of Education. So, yun, binanggit naman kanina, no, yung naging summary ng inyong mga discussion. Nakakatuwa lang dahil binabalikan ko rin, no, nung ako'y naging guro din, na nagturo din sa high school. Talagang malapit sa puso nating mga teachers, yung mga shinare din sa atin ng mga speakers. And I know hindi malaking adjustment yung gagawin natin dito dahil parang innate naman na sa atin as teachers, no, on how to guide our learners, on how to touch their lives, and of course, on how to really, instill values and hone their talents para maging potential talaga sila, no, as citizens of the country. And of course, with this, I would like to say thank you as well to our participants, to the teachers po na nandito, no. We hope that we were able to provide necessary guidance for you to be able to guide your learners specifically sa pag-open po natin, no, ng expansion ng face-to-face classes. And this is necessary for them, no, lalo na ng ating mga learners, for them to be able to, somehow return to normalcy, ika nga, na tinatawag natin. And sabi ko nga, itong particular activity na ginawa natin ngayong araw, I hope na hindi lang siya matapos today, but we will be able to continue this advocacy and translate this advocacy into actions. Yun po yung pinakamahalaga doon. Meaning, we really have to implement this, and our team from central office will be monitoring the activity so that we would make sure that the necessary support is provided and necessary guidance po ay talagang maibigay po, no, sa ating mga kasamahang guro. Just tell us your needs po from the ground, especially technical assistance on this matter, and the team would be very willing to provide assistance anytime through our regional and division offices. Thank you very much po to our regional directors and schools division superintendents po na ng ating mga concerned participants po na nandito. Maraming salamat po sa suporta ninyo. At gaya nga na lagi nating sinasabi dito sa mental health, no, psychosocial support services, sabi nga natin, no, basta't sama-sama, kayang-kaya, no? At kayang-kaya, basta't sama-sama. Once again, thank you very much to everyone. Good afternoon.
Wow, thank you so much, no, Sir Orlando Barachina, for that heartwarming message, no. Tandaan, ang ganda nung sinabi ni Sir Orly, no, na lagi naman po kaming nandito para sa inyo. So for now, before we close, we would just like to give reminders to our participants this afternoon, no. Ito po yung pinakahihintay natin. Please answer the evaluation form through this link, no, bit.ly/040722, that is the date today, _ MHPSS F2F evaluation. Tandaan po natin that only participants with validated completed evaluation form will receive the certificate of participation. So, picturean nyo na po tong slide na to, no? Spread the word to everybody who attended today. Ito po again ang ating link for the evaluation. Again, I would like to remind only participants with validated completed evaluation form will receive the certificate of participation. No? Tingnan po natin yung next na slide. By sending po yung inyong evaluation form, no, all of you participants will also get access to the learning sessions handouts, no, to be sent by April 15, 2022. So, kanina nabanggit ni Ms. Mariel, no, na may handouts po tayong ibibigay sa mga participants. So by sending the evaluation form, we will get access to your emails and we can send the handouts po to you. So syempre the handouts, no, will help us, no, remember everything we learned this afternoon and be able to apply that as we welcome our learners back to face-to-face learning modality. So we will leave this screen first, no, for our participants to take a picture, no, and to remember the link. Muli, ito po ay bit.ly/040722_MHPSS F2F_evaluation. Please take a picture of this link and remember that only participants with answered evaluation forms will receive the certificate of participation. Okay, tandaan po natin yan. Ayan. So ngayon, wow, no? Tayo'y nagtatapos na, no, ng ating learning session this afternoon. At syempre, no, hindi po mawawala, no, marami po tayong kasama, katuwang, no, sa pagbubuo ng programang ito, no. I would like to welcome, invite on screen, no, everyone who was behind this program, our friends from Magis Creative Spaces, no. Pakita po natin ating mga magagandang ngiti, no. I'm inviting everyone to turn on their cameras and so we can take a photo op po live on Facebook today. So sa ating mga viewers, no, I'm very proud to present to you the people or the team behind this wonderful program po, yung ating psychosocial support for learners at yung ating psychosocial support activity pack. So ready na po tayo sa photo op? Ayan. So may we request po first to stop the share screen so that we can see the gallery view. Ayun. All right. So nakikita nyo naman, no, sa lahat ng ating mga viewers, ganda talaga ng mga kasamahan natin sa Magis, no. So ngiti po tayo, no. 3, 2, 1, smile. Ayan, isa pa po, gawa po tayo ng heart or ng puso, no? Kasi yun po ang binigay ng mga viewers sa inyo, ibalik po natin ang mga puso. So, heart, 3, 2, 1, smile! Ayan, okay, so, ayun po muli, no? Ito po yung team na bumubuo na ating programa this afternoon. Thank you so much. Congratulations to everyone. No, thank you for the love you are giving to our teachers, to our learners. Thank you for being our champions. No. At ayun, dito po nagtatapos ang ating orientation this afternoon. Muli, ako po si Lily mula sa Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Service ng DepEd Central Office. Ako po ay napakasaya na makasama kayo ngayong hapon, no? Sa susunod po muli, no? Paalam po sa inyo. Thank you!